Welcome everybody to episode 28 of Two Dudes in a Movie. I'm Luke Parrish.
I'm AJ Ferguson.
And I'm Paul Tabling.
All right, guys. So how we doing? Doing good?
Doing good.
Pretty good.
I'm exhausted.
Thanksgiving week, bro.
Man.
By the way, so if my train of thought in this episode is just like
Do you get
over here in left field, like
you get Thursday and Friday off?
I took Wednesday off,
Oh,
so
you
I
get
am
3 days off?
I'm taking Wednesday.
Get a 5-day
I'm off
weekend?
Wednesday,
Nice.
Thursday, Friday.
Let's go.
No Thunder games for this boy. I'll
That's
tell
I'm
you
talking
what.
about. That's awesome.
Yeah, no, it's great. Well, now that we're here, let's talk about some movies. What have you guys been watching?
So Callie and I watched Emperor's New Groove.
Yeah, baby.
Oh yeah,
Great movie. Grew up watching that movie.
Boom, baby.
I just love Kronk, dude. I forgot how funny Kronk is.
Pull the lever, Kronk.
He's so good.
Squeaking.
Yeah, with the squirrel.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's a funny movie.
Bless you.
And then I watched Hateful Eight.
Yeah.
I got home from school early on Wednesday afternoon, and Callie
Tarantino.
and they were gone, so I watched Hateful Eight with Tarantino. And,
Luckily, you got home early because that movie's like 4 hours long.
dude, literally so long. And there's an extended version.
Dude, I need to
What
watch
is
those
the-
on Netflix. There's like 5 episodes or 6 episodes
Yeah.
that.
Like, what is the point? It's already extended enough, man. Gosh. So,
But did you
not
like
my
it?
favorite Tarantino movie.
Okay.
Not my favorite. Not the worst.
Okay.
Might be the worst.
Where'd you rate it in your top 5 Tarantino movies?
I've only seen 6 Tarantino movies.
Okay, that's perfect.
Or 7. It's bottom 2, put it that way, for me.
What are your bottom 2?
I would go Reservoir Dogs 1, Pulp Fiction 2, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood 3, Inglourious Bastards 4. This one and Django are like right there for me.
Okay.
I haven't seen
But you like Django, right?
Django's okay.
Okay.
So I
can't remember.
I haven't
is
seen
it,
Django.
Is it you, Paul? that
Django
likes
was the
it?
one I saw.
I like Django.
a lot.
I like all of them.
Yeah.
Django's the one I saw a long time ago, and it was before I saw anything else by Tarantino. So I need to rewatch Django
Before you appreciate it.
before I can
Tarantino.
Yeah.
judge it. Yeah,
Gotcha. That makes sense.
I do like Tarantino. I'm not a hater. I do not like some of the things he does and some of the decisions that he makes. I think they hurt his films overall. But that's just kind of his thing, and he just kind of goes for it, which I'm a fan of that. I think it's really
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
I love Samuel Jackson, dude. He's just so funny and so good and so dynamic. Kurt Russell was fun to see in that kind of role.
Mm-hmm.
That was a good role for him.
Yeah, Kurt Russell. geez.
It kind of turned into like a weird murder mystery.
In
Agatha
Tarantino
Christie-
fashion.
Yeah.
Like Agatha Christie, like Murder on the Orient Express kind of fashion, which I liked. It just took 2.5 hours to get there, which I didn't like.
Yeah, like
So-
you're 2 hours in and then you realize there are people under the floor and you're like, what the?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, literally, like, what was the plot of the movie? Oh, now I know. Oh, there's only 15 minutes left? Oh, everybody died? Like, what? Like, it literally was like, that was my train of thought, the whole movie. So,
Yeah.
I loved parts of it. Some of the scenery was amazing. Some of the cinematography was amazing. Some of the dialogue and stuff was amazing. But there were just parts of it I was like, that was, like, so long.
I get it.
Which that's kind of how I feel about most of his movies, I guess. But
Yeah.
it was good. It was better than I thought it would be. In the end, I walked away liking it more than I thought I would have liked it.
Yeah.
If you would have told me that, like, what would have happened.
It was weird because this came out around the same time as the Magnificent Seven, if I remember. So that was very
Yeah, I think
confusing
so.
for
And
me back in the day.
stupid Adam Sandler movie.
Yeah.
Yes.
The Six.
I remember that.
It was
The
the six,
Ridiculous
seven, it was
Six.
6, 7, and 8.
Ridiculous Six. Yeah, that was
So dumb.
all those threw me off so much. I'm
Yeah.
like, what are all these numbered cowboy movies?
And who was the 8? Who were the Hateful 8?
Dude, I haven't seen the movie in a while.
Was it the
I can't-
original people in the cabin? Because there's 8 of them.
Yeah, then that's who it is.
But then you add in the guy at the end.
I think it's just
Those are the 8.
yeah.
It was good. It was okay.
Have you seen Magnificent Seven though, the new one with Denzel?
I love that movie.
Yeah.
Dude, that movie's so good.
It's a great movie.
That's
It was
Isn't
fun to.
Vincent D'Onofrio in it. Yeah, he plays like the big guy.
Yeah,
I
he
mean, he
plays-
is a big guy.
Yeah.
but-
I'll have to watch Django again. Let you know which one I like better.
Yeah.
So I've watched the other 4 movies pretty recently,
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so I would say those 4 are better than that one that I've watched recently.
Gotcha.
I could dig it.
Inglourious Bastards and Hateful Eight are pretty close for me.
Okay.
Not that I disliked any of them. Those are just the way I would rank them.
Yeah, I mean, something's got to be at the bottom.
At the bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's like my least favorite Star Wars movie is episode 2. So.
Well, that's...
Talk about Attack of the Clones that way. I'm just kidding. I don't like that movie. Oh, man. Anyway, well, that's actually a really good advertisement for next week. So
next week, Star Wars month begins.
Woo-woo.
Yes, sir. All the discussion / argument topics out there.
Yeah.
Let's go. So we watched those 2 things, and then we're still watching Blacklist. So
Nice.
good stuff.
Nice. You guys
Good stuff.
Still on the Blacklist train. I thought you were kind of uneasy about it last time we.
Yeah, Callie likes it more than I do, so we're gonna
Okay.
keep watching it until we'll see. It's getting better. It's getting more interesting.
Yeah.
The bad guy, if you want to call him that, Spader's character, just killed the girl's father, like real father or like stepfather or whatever.
Yeah, he was like in the hospital and everything.
Mm-hmm. And so you find out that she's that he's like her dad or whatever.
The guy in the hospital.
Yeah.
Dude, it only gets weirder.
Yeah.
That's the one, the her and the whole backstory family thing. That's the only thing that is consistent throughout the show.
Yeah.
Everything else, it starts off like, we got to kill these people on the blacklist or stop the people on the blacklist or whatever. That kind of changes a lot and falls by the wayside a little bit. But the only thing in the show until when I stopped it is her story.
Really? I don't like her.
Red's in it the whole way.
See, I like Red. I do not like her. So.
She's pretty annoying.
But she is very annoying, and she's the main character. So I'm just trying really hard.
Is that season 2?
1. I'm still halfway through season 1.
Okay, I think season 3 is where she does get a bit better, in my opinion, anyway.
That sounds like a lot like another TV show or a television show that's on. I think I'm not sure if it's still going or not, but it's the one with the girl with all the tattoos, and they're like
Blind Spot.
Yeah,
Spot. They're like, we have to stop the people that the tattoos correlate with and stuff like that.
That show is still going on because I follow Jamie Alexander, the actress, on Instagram, and she posts about it.
Okay.
A lot.
I forgot about that
is
show.
Still going on.
Yeah, it's just hard to compete. Regular TV is hard to watch.
It's very true.
Because it takes so long to tell a story.
Because
they have 24
episodes, man.
And so we're used to this modern era of Mandalorian and Stranger Things and whatever.
It's like 10
Man in the High
10
Castle.
Episodes, 12
episodes. if you're getting 12, you're that's even pushing it. 12.
Well, that's what Daredevil was 12 or 13, and then it was it just felt like a episode or two too long.
24, dude.
Think how good The Walking Dead would be if they would have stuck to
no doubt
10 episode seasons.
No doubt.
Cut out all these side character episodes.
The Walking Dead, high-end Walking Dead is so good. The problem is there's just so much low-end Walking Dead. Yeah. No, I agree. So for me, I like the show. The premise of the show is really cool. Just, it's brutal watching regular TV. We're so spoiled. The only regular TV that I can really watch is sitcoms. I can sit there and watch a 24-episode season of Parks and Rec or The Office.
See, I can watch 24 episodes of 30-minute shows.
The dramas are
but
brutal.
the 40-minute shows and things like that are kind of rough.
It's a little much.
Brutal. What you been watching?
All right, so I watched. So we're talking about 2049 Blade Runner. I watched the first Blade Runner.
I watched
Did
that.
you watch that?
I watched that as well.
Okay, so here's a question, real quick, on this movie.
Okay.
Because I know we're not going to talk much about it, but which version did you watch?
You're supposed to watch the director's cut.
Ooh, I did not do that.
I watched the final cut.
You watched the final cut?
Yeah, I think that's the same thing.
The final cut and the director's cut are the same.
Okay, that's what I watched.
Well, not the same, but it's closer.
Yeah.
I watched the original.
Okay.
And
what's different about it?
I Googled it to figure out the differences. There are have you seen the original one or have you only seen the director's cut?
I own the director's cut, so I've only seen the director's cut.
Okay. So in the ones that you guys watched, there's a dream where he has about a unicorn. That is not in the original.
So random.
That is not in the original at all.
Yeah.
And in the original, there is an overdubbing, where Harrison Ford is monologuing to you.
Yeah.
Kind of like a noir cop movie. And I actually so I Google it, and those are the two main differences. There are a few other things.
Yeah.
And then the ending too. So spoilers for whoever.
The OG Blade Runner from the 80s. Come on, people.
So what I don't know the actual ending, and because I was gonna watch the final cut, but I didn't have time because I just watched 2049 last night and made my wife go in the other room because I didn't realize it was a 3-hour-long movie.
Yeah.
What happens at the end of
Brutal
final cut, director's cut?
So at the end, it's he's fighting, like the head replicant.
Yeah.
And then the head
Roy
replicant,
or whatever.
Yeah, he dies.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the same. What happens after that?
Him and Rachel, they leave together.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's the end of the movie, right?
Yeah.
They just walk out.
Yeah. They leave together.
Okay.
It's pretty open-ended.
Interesting. Okay, so another part about it that a lot of things that I read was the original has more of what people were calling a happy ending, to where yes, they do leave together, but you see them going off into the country together and like flying away in his little hover car thing. But that's not very different from the way things I was reading was acting like that they didn't end up being together and all this stuff. So
no, it very much seemed like they did.
Okay.
It was implied.
Yeah.
Okay.
What did you guys think of the original Blade Runner?
So
I want to get your thoughts on it because this is the one I told you. I'm like, it's I told you the same thing about Blade Runner. It has you have to.
Yeah.
It has to be your kind of thing to really like it.
And I made a joke last week, and I don't know if it's actually true, but I know I liked Blade Runner 1 probably more than you guys did. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It was very weird, and it took me a while to figure it out, and the pacing was odd and things like that, but that was just kind of an 80s movie thing.
Yeah.
And once I looked back on it, and I was like, man, I really did enjoy this movie.
Yeah, and you appreciate it for the story with the replicants and all that and the humans, and I mean it sort of continues on with 2049, which we'll get in more depth.
Yeah.
In here in a minute, but
yeah. So I wanted.
Yeah, it's not a bad movie. It's just it's
odd
compared to 2049. That's different.
Yeah, it's odd to watch. I'm sure back then, people didn't think it was odd because a lot of movies kind of were paced that way and things like that. But for us now, watching it for the first time in 2019, whenever you watch it, whatever, it's odd.
Yeah.
It was funny that the date in the movie was actually November 2019.
November 2019.
Yeah, which I forgot to make a mention about it
funny.
last episode. But I was being it's almost Blade Runner 2049 or Blade Runner Day.
Yeah.
Pretty funny.
Which was cool. I said that in the office on November 19th, and I was like, "Hey guys, it's Blade Runner Day. Anybody excited?" And nobody was like, it was like crickets.
That's funny.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
But
what did you think, AJ?
It's okay.
The first one?
It's an old movie, and so I kind of gave it a little grace.
Well, it's an old movie wanting to live in the needing to be produced in the future times. With it being a cyberpunk movie, with all the graphics and then just the technology advancements, it's we didn't have the technology back then to really make that kind of movie pop.
Right.
Yeah,
Like they did in 2014.
It was because some of the things the technology things and I noticed this watching other old movies like this, the screens in his car or whatever are 4x3 screens and
it's obviously dated
CRT TVs.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, if they could have made it. Yeah. And I know in some way, because I've heard interviews where George Lucas is man, it would have been so cool to have some of the technologies to make for the old Star Wars movies.
Yeah.
But yeah, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's also it was different seeing Harrison Ford in that kind of role too, I think.
Yeah, that was enjoyable for me. The main thing that I enjoyed about that movie was Harrison Ford being a different style.
He wasn't your Indiana Jones. He wasn't your Han Solo.
Yeah, that was fun. That was a fun way to watch him act and kind of play that role. That was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wasn't a huge fan. It was okay. It was worth watching, obviously, to understand the replicants and everything.
Yeah.
Super cool idea. The book, actually, that it's based on is fairly popular.
Yeah.
Really, really famous.
The Android's Dream of Electric Sheep.
Yeah, it's the same guy who wrote Man in the High Castle. So he wrote a bunch of those sci-fi kind of dystopian style books, and a bunch of them are really popular. He wrote Total Recall.
It had a very much Total Recall feel.
Yeah.
Same guy. Yeah.
Okay.
He wrote a bunch of books that are all kind of like that.
Interesting.
Yep.
And I like these way better than both Total Recall movies.
Yeah. I did not like Total Recall at all.
No, I went and saw the second one in theaters. I was like, wait, what's going on?
Yeah, I saw it in theaters.
Why does that lady have 3 boobs?
Yeah, that's so weird.
Yeah, that was a strange one, but
It's a strange movie.
because let's Mandalorian review, right?
Well, what did you watch? Did you watch anything?
I watched nothing. I'm on a streak here. This is my second week in a row of watching nothing.
Wow.
Sorry guys, I had the Lakers game Friday, I had a wedding Saturday, wedding Sunday.
Had to be courtside with LeBron.
That was a weird experience. I will admit.
First time.
Did you boo him? Just kidding.
Give him a fist bump.
Boo, boo you.
LeBron, take a picture with me, LeBron.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
and in the picture, Luke's thumb down. Like,
no, I've been crazy busy. I haven't been able to watch anything, which stinks. I did watch, I guess, the new episode of The Mandalorian and the other Disney Plus show with
Jeff Goldblum.
Jeff Goldblum, yeah. Dang it, why am I told you guys I'm exhausted. I won't be able to remember anything.
You're good.
What's the show called? Jeff Goldblum.
I don't know.
The world of him or his world or something.
The world according to Jeff Goldblum.
Yes,
There
yes.
it is.
So I watched that, and it was about tattoos, which was neat to see. So I mean, like I've learned a lot from all 3 episodes
to
about
watch that
ice cream,
show.
shoes, and this. It's like
I keep forgetting about it.
very educational. I'd let my kid watch it
Yeah.
Cool.
if they understood who Jeff Goldblum was.
Yeah. By that time, he's gonna be like,
Yeah, right. Here's the Jurassic Park movies. Yeah, but you guys ready for Mandalorian?
Let's do it.
We're talking about episode 3.
Episode 3,
Specifically episode 3.
chapter
Yes.
3,
The sin.
Sin. That's right.
Sin.
I forget what the other 2 are called.
I know the second one's
know
the
what the one's
child.
Yeah.
I don't remember what the first one is.
So before we get into it, let's get a quick. Did you guys like the episode?
Loved it.
I did.
Best
Loved
one
it.
so far, in my opinion.
I agree. Best one so
I
far.
also agree. I liked it not just because of the. All right, so if you haven't seen The Mandalorian, I'll give you 3 seconds. 3, 2, 1. Okay, we're talking about. So at the end, because all the action and stuff in it, but the
Right.
directing and like just the the writing was very good, and the lady who directed it.
Yeah, I actually made a note about this too.
What's her name?
Deborah Chow.
She's
Directing
leading the
Obi-Wan.
Obi-Wan series,
Yeah.
which is very exciting because she did very good.
She did a great
job.
She did very well with this episode. Very good.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know.
It don't
One
matter.
of those words.
No, I love this episode. I thought it was predictable in the sense of like you knew he was going to go back for the child. Mm-hmm. Like he had to make like the plot work.
His acting was so he's wearing a full suit of armor, but the acting.
Well, and the way
Like
they
when
him showing emotion
the way
without
they-
you being able to see his face.
the way
is
they
so good.
lingered on his face, on his helmet, and he would
Yeah.
just turn.
Yep. Or like when
like-
he went to reach for the knob on the ship and like froze.
Just kind of held it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really
and then he
that's
like
a
goes
great
back
point.
and starts flipping stuff. I was like,
Yeah,
dude,
That's a
That's some
great
good-
point because
that's good stuff.
he's acting without actually acting.
body
Or,
language, man.
You know, whatever.
Pascal,
facial
man,
expression.
he's killing it.
Um,
But he also got his full suit of armor now. So
yeah, he
looked good.
looked dope.
Dope.
He looked
he's
really
very
dope.
shiny
Dope.
now.
I loved the other Mandalorians being in the show. It sounded like John Favreau's voice.
It was.
It was.
The big one.
Okay, that's
that,
what I thought.
That dogged on him for, this is Imperial smelted, blah,
Yeah,
blah.
yeah.
That was John Favreau.
Yeah, that's what I thought. It sounded like I didn't watch the credits to figure it out, but I figured it was.
Well, actually, he wasn't in the credits
really?
for it. He like left himself out. But if you've watched the Clone Wars, he
Yeah.
also played a Mandalorian, and he used this because he changes his voice just enough.
a little
Yeah.
nasally.
But
sounds like.
yeah, it was him.
That's why I knew who it was because I've watched the
Yeah,
show. and
'cause
so
of- yeah.
it sounded the same as that character. I liked his character with the Gatling gun thing. That was
Dude.
Yeah,
super
well, they
cool.
fly out with the jetpacks.
The
and you're just like,
jetpacks.
at that point, I got so excited
yeah, that
because
was-
I'm like, I never
Oh,
thought
yeah.
I'd see this on like a television
Yeah,
screen
it was
in live
awesome.
action.
It was awesome.
Obviously, they were CG, but
And I loved how he was like, I got to get one of those.
yeah,
the
and
jetpack. Yeah.
This is the way. That was so cool when they kept
Yeah.
saying
Oh
that.
yeah,
This is the way.
There's been several things like that.
I was
like
sitting there going like, this is the way.
I have spoken.
I have spoken.
Yeah.
I started
Dude.
saying that, and my kids are like, "What are you saying?" And I'm like,
I have
"You
spoken.
don't get it." And they're like,
Yeah. Tell your
"Okay."
parents to get you Disney Plus. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I would like
turn
give,
in
like,
your homework. I have
Yeah.
spoken.
give them an assignment.
Well, his,
spoken.
his invasion scene into that building to reclaim
Dude,
like
yeah.
the yodeling was awesome. He
Yeah,
like,
the ain't or what do they call them? The whispering or the twiddling birds
yeah,
or whatever
yeah,
they
yeah.
call that.
The-
whistling bird.
Whistling birds.
Something. I don't
Dude,
remember.
That was so dope.
Yeah.
So cool.
Yeah, like that whole scene, I was like, "Oh crap! They actually got the drop on him."
Yeah,
And
dude.
then he
So
like bends
good.
down and does that. I was like, "Whoa!"
Well, it's the same-
He shoots those guys in the dark at the very beginning.
Yeah.
So
Well,
good.
the Smith Mandalorian lady, she was like, use these like sparingly or whatever.
Yeah,
And then I was
yeah.
like, dang it, there they go.
I was waiting
Yeah.
for him to do it like because the first time he walks in, there's like a bunch of them.
Yeah.
I don't remember. There was one scene in particular. There were like a bunch of stormtroopers. I was like, "Oh, don't waste it yet."
Oh,
And then he
yeah.
didn't use it. He only uses like 4 of them. But
Yeah.
I thought he was gonna waste like all of them in one go.
I really
which
like
would have
the
been tight. but-
stormtroopers in it because this is like one of the first times they didn't look like idiots.
Yeah,
like,
they actually
Yeah?
looked like formidable.
doing like tactical things with the flashlights.
Uh-huh.
And,
Yeah.
I mean, putting a flashlight in your gun doesn't make it tactical, but I'm just saying,
But they
like the
look
way
like
they
they knew
knew
what
they
they
were
were
like,
doing,
yeah,
like their
yeah.
it was good.
Well, and they actually did surround him at one point, and I mean, he might have been in trouble if he didn't have all the gadgets or whatever.
Yeah,
you know?
like he would have, which was weird because remember in the first episode where he's like it's like 4v1, he's like I like those odds.
Oh yeah.
Which I mean, I would too if I had his
Yeah.
armor and guns and other tools.
Right.
His his
Uh,
obliterating gun or whatever.
Oh, dude, that gun is so cool. Whenever he starts just melting people from behind, like the little,
the
like,
Jawas.
No, the
Oh.
The other bounty hunters.
yeah, he's like laying in
Oh.
the trailer.
He's in that
Yeah.
People
wagon.
just start like disappearing, and they're all like,
that was very Western of the show because he's in
Yeah.
the wagon. He pointed to get this like the
Uh-huh.
stagecoach driver to drive, and
Yeah.
then he's surrounded by. That was very Western, and it was.
Yeah,
it
There's
was
been
cool.
so many Western things, especially whenever, like in the first episode with the droid, where he shoots people like off the roof, and
Yeah.
Mhm.
like that's very Clint Eastwood esque.
Carl Weathers was really good in this episode.
I was gonna
too.
mention him. So,
Yeah.
what do you guys think about him kind of betraying him at the end?
I mean, you saw. So there was 2 codes that the Mandalorian was living by: the Bounty Hunter code and the Mandalorian code. And at the end, he chose the Mandalorian code.
Right.
Yeah.
Not the Bounty Hunter code, which is
The guild.
do your thing, get
Yeah.
the kill, turn it in, do what this have like
No
no sympathy
questions
towards
asked.
anything. Do
Yeah.
your job.
Yeah.
Where Mandalorian is a little bit more family based, a little bit more loyalty,
Yeah.
and all that kind of stuff. And so he chose the Mandalorian code and broke the Bounty Hunter code. So there was 2 codes in, and Carl Weathers getting saved by the.
Yeah, that was
the,
cool.
The
I like
credits
Oh,
in
the
his pocket
Beskar,
was,
yeah.
was also very
well, and he
very
showed
Western.
it. He showed it earlier in the
Yeah.
episode, which I appreciated. It wasn't just like a random thing.
was a
that
good
happened.
callback,
Yeah,
yeah.
it was a good callback. I liked that because it shows his body laying there and it's like smoking. I was like, they did not just kill him. And then I was like, oh snap! The thing's in his pocket, and he
Yep.
sits up and pulls it out. And I was like, yep, there you go.
So what was the sin?
Oh man,
Was it giving the yodeling up? Was it breaking the code? Was it
killing all those people.
was it also sort of like towing the line of his code by taking the Imperial credits? What was it?
I would
I would say it was taking Baby Yoda back.
like giving him back. Or
No,
taking
like
him
like
from,
stealing him.
I would say I would agree with that.
like breaking his
'cause
his
the
bounty hunter
sin-
code.
The sin is breaking the code.
Yeah,
Is
that's what I
ruining
thought.
his
It
reputation.
was a discussion online. Everyone's like, "So what was the sin?" Because there was like 5 different sins in that
well,
episode.
and I think the whole show is now obviously going to turn into he is now the bounty, and he's going to turn into the protector, not the bounty hunter. Right, and so there's gonna be all these people after him. I think that's where like the Imperial people are gonna come in at the end of like in the trailer, the general guy and whatever.
This is the way.
That was awesome. Whenever all their clickers started going off in the
Yeah.
bar, that was
Yeah.
really cool. Because he's like, "How many clickers did you give out, or how many whatever did you give out?"
yeah.
He's like, he doesn't answer him. All he says is, "I had to like secure the package." Or
No,
whatever.
he says they all have one.
he did.
Yeah. He straight up
No,
said,
no. I mean the German guy.
"Oh,
He
Carl
wa-
Weathers said they all
Carl
have
Weathers
one."
says they all have one, but he
Yeah.
walks into the German guy and says,
Oh.
"How many things did you hand out?" He's like, he
Yeah.
doesn't answer his question. He just says, "Well, I had to secure
Oh yeah,
the
yeah.
thing." Did
Werner
you
Herzog.
did you notice that the thing he was carrying is a callback to episode 5? Whenever they're on
The thing the Beskar was in?
it's like
No.
stink. It's in one little random scene in episode 5 when they're in Cloud City.
Okay, so just a little bit of some continuity.
Just like a little Easter egg. And so I was talking to my friend at school today. He's kind of a nerdy dude, kind of like me. about Star Wars stuff, and he was pointing out all these little things, and he's like, dude, it's literally like Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau have a bunch of old 80s action figures, and they're literally just playing with them on TV. Yeah. That's what we're watching. And I was like, that's literally what's happening. That's what we're watching happen.
That's awesome.
On screen. And it was so cool because, like, literally they're just playing with people and throwing in Jawas and
well, it's
little
everything
things.
You wanted as a kid.
That
and
so
now they're just
totally.
like, hey, let's put this on the show.
Oh, it's so great. My dad loves it.
He loves the show?
Loves the show.
Yeah.
That's good.
So
That's
my
the
parents.
first thing he asks me, and every time I see him, he's like, have you watched the episode? I'm like, yeah, I watched it. Yeah, he loves it.
Yeah,
he's a big Star Wars guy. Grew up watching Star Wars in the 70s and 80s.
Yeah. I have one more thing. I know we don't have a definitive answer, but what do we think that the Empire wants with Baby Yoda, and like what are they trying to do?
I think it's a thing of like those, since that species of alien is so force sensitive that they're trying to figure out like what makes it so force sensitive, and if they can replicate that.
I was gonna ask y'all because in the lab you hear him say, "We can take what we need and kill the child."
Yeah,
which makes me think they just need like DNA. Or the midichlorians.
Well, they already did the clone stuff. So they want to make a bunch of clones of that.
Right. So
what?
I don't know. Like they want to create like a new army of Yodas. That'd be dope.
That'd be nuts.
Age-old
all
question.
with little like Clone War helmets on.
That'd be amazing. Age-old question: who would win in a fight, Superman or Yoda?
Oh. Could the Force stop Superman?
My friends and I used to argue about this all the time. And I would always say that Yoda's lightsaber was made of kryptonite, so suck that.
No, I think Superman.
I would say Superman would win.
I mean, by definition.
Because you see Yoda struggle to lift things with the Force in a few of the episodes.
I mean...
That is funny, though.
But it's a funny conversation.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. I've never thought about that.
You just start crossing universes and start having people fight each other for no reason.
Well, that's the new Marvel What If. Like, that's what the show's not going to be, but...
Bro, I hope there's a Star Wars character.
Those comics were. Like, a lot of them were like, what if Captain America fought Superman kind of thing.
Yeah. Interesting.
That series is going to be good.
I don't know. I think the midichlorian thing's interesting. I think the clones angle's interesting. I think the building of the new army and setting up a new empire is interesting. I think there's a lot of it.
Man, I just thought about this. You think it'll tie into how the Emperor like makes this new fleet in Rise of Skywalker?
I don't think the Mandalorian will tie. In my opinion, I don't think it will tie into anything.
I think it's a smaller scale story.
I think it'll be 100% in a really confined part of the galaxy.
Okay.
And it won't affect. I don't think so. It could turn into this huge thing that kind of affects everything, but that fleet is crazy on the trailer.
Yeah.
So excited for episode 9.
Dude.
Stay tuned for the next 4 weeks.
We're less than a month away, right?
Bro, yeah. So we got two episodes coming between now and then. Just straight up Star Wars talk. So super fun. Mandalorian, man, it's good stuff. It's really good. It's crazy that we're halfway. I'm sad. It's like we're almost halfway.
Episode 4 almost halfway.
Yeah.
That's
Makes
true.
Me sad.
Hey, it's okay. They're already working on season 2.
Season 2's in progress. Yeah.
And then we have the season 7 or whatever, the Clone Wars coming out.
Yes. Yeah. Obi-Wan's next summer.
Oh yeah, that's another thing I've been watching was Rebels. Have you guys watched Rebels?
You told me that.
I haven't.
Dude, I've binged.
Is it
like
good?
It's so good. I'm like in the middle of season 3 now, and there's only 4 seasons, and I'm bummed.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Dave Filoni's a genius, bro. Yeah. I love Dave Filoni.
Well, because they bring back I'm now to the point where they bring back Maul.
Darth Maul's he's in Clone Wars for a bit.
Yep.
For a hot minute.
It's good.
Because he's still alive in Solo.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, he's at the end.
Dope.
No, I've been meaning to watch it. It's just like I said, I just don't have time for
Plot
anything.
twist: Darth Maul's in episode 9.
No, he very
killed.
much dies in Rebels.
He gets killed in Rebels, and Rebels is like canon, isn't it? It's like officially.
Yeah.
Clone Wars TV show and Rebels are canon.
Good. That's legit.
All right. Well, you ready to move to the main meat of this episode?
Yeah.
Let's get it.
Last non-Star Wars film of
2019.
Let's go, baby.
All right. So, do you got the specs, the synopsis, the deets for us, Paul?
I got it. So we're talking again about Blade Runner 2049. Came out in 2017. Synopsis. A young Blade Runner's discovery of a long-buried secret leads him to track down former Blade Runner Rick Deckard, who's been missing for 30 years.
Okay.
Actors Ryan Gosling, Harrison Ford, and Jared Leto. Director Denis Villeneuve,
Who directed Sicario.
who directed Sicario. Yep.
And Arrival.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
The Alien movie.
Budget of $150 million. Wow. And worldwide made $260 million.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Very
So,
underappreciated movie.
Very underappreciated movie.
In my eyes.
But not for the ratings. Ratings on IMDb were 8.7.
Wow.
Rotten Tomatoes was an 87.
Wow.
And Meta was an 81.
Wow.
So let's also compare that to the original Blade Runner ratings, where Meta gave it an 89 as opposed to an 81. IMDb is an 8.1 instead of an 8.7 for the old one.
Which shows, like, fan-wise, I think 2049 was a more enjoyable watch.
Yeah, and then Rotten Tomatoes is an 89 for the old one, 87 for the new one. So pretty even keel across the board.
I think it won 3 or 4 Oscars.
The new one?
Yeah.
Let me look. I actually didn't look at
type that in. If I remember, it was like best cinematography, visual effects, like sound mixing or something. And a couple, and that might be it.
Cinematography, visual, sound mixing, production, design, and sound editing.
So how many is that?
5.
5 Oscars. Wow.
Yep.
Which.
Oh, no. Those are all nominees. It only won Best Cinematography and Best Visual Effects.
Okay, so
it
won 2, but it was nominated for 5.
Yes.
Gotcha. Makes sense. All right,
yeah.
Well.
All right, so yeah, that's all as far as stat-wise that I got.
Nice. So we're jumping into...
Yep, on into...
Idea premise.
Idea and premise. AJ, what do we think?
Start us off, big guy.
Okay, so for me, this was my highest rated section of the movie. I gave it a 9. I thought the idea and premise of the whole series is really, really interesting. The whole Blade Runner and the replicants and the retiring instead of killing people, and the way they test people with their eyes and their emotions, and I just thought that was really, really creative and really, really cool. I thought the way that they handled this movie in particular, the first scene with
De Bautista.
Drax.
That guy.
Drax.
Thought that was really, really interesting that we like immediately found out that they were both replicants.
Yeah.
Thought that was really cool. He like stabbed him and I was like, oh dang. And he like didn't react and I was like, oh dang.
Yeah.
So that was cool. I thought that was a really cool way to introduce both characters and kind of introduce the world. And then they made a callback later in the movie to that scene. Which talked about like the newer models and all that stuff. So I thought that was really cool that like the replicants like evolved into obviously what they were in the movie. So I gave this section a 9 out of 10. This is the highest rated section for me. I think it was the strength of the movie, was the premise, was the idea, the way that they kind of handled that. For me, I thought that was really, really well done.
I also gave it a 9 out of 10. I really just like the fact that you're following. He's somewhat of just like a random, just like a Blade Runner.
Yeah.
That you can tell at the beginning that
Just like happens to get that assignment.
Yeah, and it's like some of his mannerisms. You know, you can tell that the way that people treat those replicants and stuff.
Yeah.
He feels some way about it, which you wouldn't think they were because they're replicants. They're basically just recreated humans, like they say in the series. Like the lady says they have the only difference is they have no soul. Yeah. And so I think just like following him as he gets mixed into this like grander scheme of things between these two battling factions, like the old replicants and the new replicants, in a way, that him just getting mixed up there, and then his psyche and everything getting intertwined in between, like with the memories and all that. I think
The implants.
Yeah, I think that was all very, very good. Very good premise, and the way the story is told, which I think there's a lot of plot stuff I'm wanting to say in this aspect, but once we get there, I'll talk about it a little bit more. But yeah, I give it a 9 just because for me, it didn't check all the boxes, obviously, because I give it a 9 out of 10.
I think, and the implants to me are really cool because they want the replicants to feel human, but they're not. But people, like actual humans, like devalue them and treat them like garbage.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
Because they know they're made, not born.
Yeah, it's so interesting to me. I thought that was really, really cool. And I honestly, I want to go read this book now that it's based on. Because it sounds really interesting. But yeah, Paul, what'd you think?
So I actually gave it a 10.
Nice.
Because I really liked the fact of it was a sort of familiar-ish story, you know, movies set in the future with machines that look like humans and everything like that, but it was also different. It was different in certain ways of like the you know the lifespan in the first one was a big
4
thing.
years, that was cool.
That I really liked, and that was kind of the whole plot of the first movie. But you know, with this one, it was a bit different. They're much more advanced. They are having actual emotions and things like that, and so it just made it. Because I mean, you know, you could really compare this movie to movies like Terminator, of like,
that's what I was gonna say,
like good versus evil, man fighting machine, things like that. But it's so different.
Well, you realize how much some of the ramifications of the first movie kind of played into this one. With the blackout, and then, like I said, the old models and how things changed. And Deckard going back through changing the records and stuff, and that's kind of what happened with Agent K, or just K. Sorry.
Yeah, not Men in Black.
Not Men in Black. I was like, what?
Man, so the whole time I thought they were calling him Cade.
Yeah.
Like Kade, since his first two letters were K and D. But I think I think they were calling him just K. Mm-hmm. But yeah, the whole time.
I didn't think about Kate at all. I just heard K.
I don't know. Like, it was just the way I heard it. But yeah, so I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, the characters, our next section. For me, I don't want to say my score yet, I guess. I want to kind of defend my score first, but
he gave it a 1.
I liked Ryan Gosling's character a lot. He was awesome. Like the fact that he was super robotic at first and he kind of became more and more human throughout. Yeah. Loved it. It's awesome. Harrison Ford's character for me was awesome. I love Harrison Ford. So the more Harrison Ford, the better. Like, that dude can carry a movie anytime, anywhere. So good. Like, he's one of the reasons I love Episode 7 so much.
Yeah.
Episode 7 is not that good of a movie. I just, like, give me more Harrison Ford. So for me, him not being on screen until
the last
2
30
hours
minutes
into the movie, I was like literally at one point, Callie and I were like, where is Harrison Ford?
Yeah.
I was so mad. I was like, I want to watch Harrison Ford. And it was like 2 hours. And I was like, oh my gosh. They're going to this, like, Las Vegas. And I was like, this gotta be him. And I was like, yes.
Person.
So, so I loved Harrison Ford. I love those two. For me, everybody else was meh or worse.
I think it's supposed to be that.
And it is supposed to be that way. And the villain for me was
Jared Leto's character.
Yeah, he didn't do it for me. And it's not Jared Leto's fault. I don't know why. I didn't like. He was so. I don't know how to say it, but he wasn't a compelling villain for me enough to, like, challenge Ryan Gosling's, like, hero. Enough. I don't know.
Well, to me, he's more the personification of the new replicants and, like, what the future is. Because to me, okay, so the first watch, I felt like how you felt. Second watch, I saw some things. I was like, man, this guy's like just like a insane maniac. That's too, like, into himself. Yeah. Because, like, you see it in the first scene that you see him. He's sitting there. He's talking about, like, angels and stuff like that. And it's just it's this nut who's, like, leading this new revolution of not revolution, but just new wave of these replicants. And he's just so self-involved, like, into himself, thinks he's the smartest guy ever. But
I totally get that. And I think he's kind of got that rich playboy cool guy thing going for him, which is interesting a little bit. I liked the digital hologram girlfriend,
Ana de Armas.
She was interesting.
I don't know how to say her name. Good job.
She's one of my celebrity crushes, so of course I know her name.
She was interesting for me. I liked her character.
She was cool because you see her do some things and you realize, wait, she's a program.
Yeah.
Like, and, like, that's how she's programmed.
He's a robot.
Yeah.
falling in love with a computer program. Like,
yeah,
that was weird. Like, that was extremely weird. Like,
when you think about it, whenever
when you think about it, it's crazy. But when
smashed.
when she steps on it, that's sad.
That broke my heart. I was like, dang it, man.
Yeah.
Whenever they're out on the balcony and they're like having a romantic whatever, and he gets a phone call, and she like pauses, and answers the phone, and she's just like frozen.
Oh, she's frozen weirdly.
I was like, oh dang! Like I totally forgot that she's.
Well, you see how much
program.
he cares about her because when he's around other people, he's very robotic, very
But he actually like acts.
But whenever he's around her, he's a lot looser. He's like, "You're free now. Like, where do you want to go?" It shows he's like he cares for other people.
Yep.
But in like out in the real world, he's seen as this, and so he acts as that.
Yeah.
As like just like go out. I'm a Blade Runner. I'm gonna go find replicants and kill them. And that
was interesting that they chose to show his like home life.
Which I really love.
Like robots just go home and charge and come back to work, you know.
Yeah.
Or like,
well, I mean, he's organic, like,
right? I know,
flesh and everything,
right? But like to me, it's like go home, eat, go to bed, wake up, go to work, go home, eat, go to bed, wake up, work. Like literally, that's what I thought. But that was cool that they highlighted his home life.
Yeah.
So I gave the section a 6. A 6 feels low, but for me, like I said, those two dudes kind of carried it. The girl Joy was a little bit interesting. Everybody else was just kind of like,
yeah. What were you gonna say? You were gonna say something about Jared Leto's character.
So, and it's so funny that you'd say that the same dude who wrote Man in the High Castle wrote this book.
Yeah.
That felt very much like a Jared Leto is like the Hitler, and the girl assassin robot, who you don't think you ever know, is like John Smith.
Right.
So it's like I felt like she was the real bad
like the
guy,
actual villain,
the actual villain of the movie, and he's just kind of like the
puppet master.
The guy in charge who's giving the orders.
I like that parallel between Hitler and him, because both guys are just very, like I said earlier, just very into themselves and very like they think just these outlandish things,
and they think like I feel like Jared Leto thinks he's like God, because he's creating replicants and he's wanting to get the ones that make the babies and making all those, and so I felt Hitler probably had he felt like he was a god too, so that's actually really I'm glad I thought of it.
That's some good stuff. I like that.
I think the girl, for me, I don't know, she wasn't threatening enough, I guess, until the end. I don't know. Like,
I don't know. When she walked into a room, I was like, "Oh crap, it's about to hit the fan." Like, because when she like judo chopped that Morgue guy and like his whole face caved in, I was like, "Ah!"
Oh. Yeah, from behind.
Yeah,
that was crazy. I was like, "What the? Like, how is that even possible?"
Because she's a robot.
Yeah, I didn't figure that out.
Well, yeah, you see, like they subtly show her strength, like leading up to that when the door's jammed and she just grabs it and just like pulls it.
Yeah, I didn't figure that out at first.
I just immediately assumed because Rachel was she was like the Rachel character, and she was a replicant.
I should have put that together. I didn't put that together right
I
away.
honestly wonder, and this may be more of a meta question, but I'm going to do it. I wonder if Jared Leto himself wasn't a replicant.
He kind of acted like one, but I don't think he was.
I don't think he was either.
I could see him being a human, but he's like one of those things where he becomes his creation kind of thing. Like he was so intertwined with like the stuff in his head and like his eyes and all that.
That's what I would say. He was so in love with what he was doing that he kind of like started taking on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I would say as far as my interpretation anyway.
Which is weird because like we're sitting here talking about these characters and how like of course the movie would have been 10 hours, but like getting context on all these characters and stuff, I think maybe you would have rated it higher if you had like more context to like that, because right now we're just sitting here and because we don't know that about his character,
right?
Yeah,
you just kind of feel it.
He only really has 2 scenes.
Yeah,
right, maybe 3.
Yeah, where you first see him,
where he's like actually on screen for more than a hot minute.
Yeah,
and then because that's also the scene where he births that replicant, however, out of the weird bag, and then the scene with him and Harrison Ford.
Bizarre. That was
weird.
That was bizarre.
But he's probably only on screen for maybe 10 minutes of the movie.
I'd say 10 minutes.
Yeah, 10 of the 2:30, 10 of the 2:40.
He's got to get his moment.
Can't overemphasize enough how long this movie is.
2 hours and 43 minutes.
And it felt longer because of the way they shot it, like the way they lingered on stuff. Mm-hmm. It was almost like Hateful Eight in the sense of like just it just lingered.
Man, I hear what you're saying, but like, because when I first hit play, and like I paused it because my wife said something, and I was like 2 hours and 40. But at the end of it, I was like, it was long, but I'm okay with it.
For me, I was into every single second.
Yeah,
dude, like every single long scene. Like I'm very much about like the whole cyberpunk kind of world thing. So like, and the movie was also shot beautifully. And so I was very much into that, but we're skipping to cinematic elements right here. I'll talk about that in a little bit.
Okay, so I gave character 6. That's probably gonna be lower than y'all. I want to hear y'all's thoughts. Why you kind of rated it higher than that?
So Kay is one of my favorite characters of like all time. I absolutely loved him.
He is super interesting
because you see, this is one movie where like I really, really, really like the character development in it because this is something you actually see. And it's like it's someone that's supposed to be robotic, that's seen by society this way, but then you see that he cares. He becomes more human throughout the whole thing, like you said. That's
his character arc is one of the best I've seen in a long time, and one of the best we've talked about in a long time. As far as started here and ended here and went all the way across. I agree. I think his character, the way he changed and developed, I mean, it's really, really impressive.
This is a little bit of plot, but you're basically, the way the story's being told is by, like, how he's interpreting things, what's going on and stuff, which I'll dive deeper into that because I have some thoughts about that. But, so for me, it's him, and then you have all these, which, I mean, obviously it is, all these supporting characters are supporting each piece of his life. So the police officer, whenever he says no, and she's like, what did you say? He's like, I didn't.
The lady, you mean?
He's like, yeah, the lady.
Yeah.
Jenny from Forrest Gump.
Madam or whatever her name is.
Yeah, and he's like, no, and she's like, knows this, and he's like, I didn't know there was another option. She says that's good.
That's better.
Good boy or whatever.
That's better, yeah. And so it's like all these, like, she's reinforcing his replicant side.
Yeah.
And then you have people like, not even people, but holograms,
like Joy,
is like his more human side. Like that's crazy. He's becoming more human because of this hologram,
of the computer program,
than what other like actual humans are. Just because how closed off.
Well, you see several times when he walks into work or he walks into a restaurant, people call him like derogatory terms or whatever toward him about like being
like a Skinner. And
see, and
like
that was one of the things that was the inner monologue in the first movie is because his captain or chief or whatever calls them skin jobs.
Yeah,
and at that moment, Harrison Ford comes over and he's like, yeah, so this guy's, imagine, for whatever, when our time would be, he's like one of those guys in the 40s that would call black people the N-word. And so like that, like, and once he said that, like every time I heard like Skinner, I was like, man, that's just like, it really drove it more home for me. I was like, dang, that is rough.
Well, he had it written on his door at home, his apartment.
Yeah, his front door.
F-U or whatever.
Yeah. Well,
yeah, and I think it's really interesting that what you're talking about, how he had multiple influences pulling him different directions. Because even the replicant that he kills in the first scene, like, appeals to his replicant side in a, like, rebellious way.
Yeah.
Which is not a replicant thing to do. At least not a programmed thing to do. And I think that's really interesting. And the whole replicant thing in general is interesting. It's kind of the same idea of Terminator. Like, the idea of a Terminator is super interesting. As far as, like, they're designed for this, obviously they're not only going to do this. Like, they're going to have some free will and some evolution, and something's bad's going to happen. And for them, obviously getting pregnant was part of it, and learning how to lie was part of it, and learning how to, like, live longer than your whatever. Like, those are all part of it. So for him, it was really interesting to watch him kind of.
Well, it's something that Batista's character in the opening scene says when he's like, "You haven't seen like a miracle."
Haven't seen a miracle.
Or that stuck with me throughout the whole thing. I was like, that's really crazy because I don't know, for replicants that's a big thing because humans, the miracle of childbirth, the miracle of this, the miracle of that, and like replicants, they go through life without these.
It's all programmed.
these just like crazy phenomena is happening, and like a program you said, and it's just I don't know, that's something that stuck with him because obviously he was like sitting in this car later, or this hover car thing, which is super cool. That line plays through his head. Yeah, I don't know. It's just like it was him, and then just all these characters that kind of made him and reinforced his thoughts, his feelings about things.
See, I see that.
Yeah,
I see that. And what'd you give it? Did you say your score?
I give it a 9 out of 10.
Okay, so for me, I don't know. I loved his character. Don't get me wrong. He was so interesting. And the way he acted was awesome. Like, he acted like a robot.
Yeah.
Like, he didn't walk like a robot, but, like, his face. Like, you could tell he's thinking.
Yeah.
But he doesn't show it. Like, he's literally just, like, sitting there staring at nothing.
Yeah.
Like, that was just really interesting.
And the scene, I don't know, the scene where the girls come up to him when he's sitting there, like, eating or whatever, like, you really see that in his head. And it's like, you kind of hear that when he says, he's like, didn't you hear, like, don't you know what I am or whatever? And I was like, it's like, man, that's like a little bit of his personality of like, I don't know. It's just, I loved his acting and everything about it.
Yeah, he did a great job.
But do you want to explain your score? What did you score it?
So I gave this section a 10 also.
Nice.
Wow.
Because I really, side note before I forget it. So the girl that comes up to him and comes back later is the same girl in the new Terminator movie. She's the girl in Terminator in Dark Fate. I was like, what is this other? And I had to look it up, and I was like, oh,
she's
that's
been
who
in
it
a
is.
bunch of random movies I've seen. What's her name?
I'll
look it up, but you talk about your point.
So this is the first movie, and I can't say that I've ever seen, but because I'm not sure, but the main character has literally driven the entire movie for me. Because like, yeah, I could have like, I gave this section a 10 out of 10 because of the main character. Usually like we'll lump it together of like, Leonardo DiCaprio and Mark Ruffalo and Ben King, all like lump them. Because of that, I make this a 10 or to 7 or whatever. I gave this totally off of Ryan Gosling's character because of, there's so much. He acted more human than humans in the movie. Yeah. Because it's like you said, when he was home, he was one way. When he was at work, that's a human thing. We all do it. When we're at work, we're one person. When we're at home, we're probably a completely different person. The falling in love, no matter what the case, like, it's a machine. It's weird. I agree. It was very odd. But like when he comes in, honey, I'm home. Like that's the most human thing. And like, I was like, it's just to make you not realize or remember he's a robot and all this other stuff. And, but yeah, I mean, I did enjoy other characters. I enjoyed Harrison Ford. I liked Joy to an extent because yes, it was weird. I loved her more of like from the cinematic side of it, which we'll get into.
Which was cool. Yeah.
The way they handled her. Actually like disappearing and
like you could see through her, stuff like that. I actually liked a little bit the bad girl, because she was interesting. I also liked her because she is I talked about it a little bit. She's in the show with Jason Momoa called C. She's like the queen bad girl in that movie, and I hate her with a passion in that show. And I was like, honestly, to watch her die, I was like, but even like some of the stuff she did, I was like, man, that's so. Yes, I felt like it was all good all around, but I gave this movie a 10 because of Joe K, whatever his name was.
Well, this movie makes you kind of think about character in a different way too, because like you said, it's not the normal like you have this character, this character, and like you said, you all lump them together. This one gives you one really, really good character, all these characters around them, and it makes you think about character in a different way because you're not sitting there like he doesn't have like really the Robin to his Batman,
right,
or whatever. Right. But also that girl's name is Mackenzie Davis.
Okay,
we couldn't think of. Nice. But Batman or his Robin to his Batman, and so I don't know. It's just it's very how they treat character in this movie is very, very, very cool.
Yeah.
And we were getting Amber Alerts, so hold on.
That's neat. I was like, tornadoes?
Yeah.
There's a flash flood warning in your area.
Neat. But yeah, that's about all I have for character.
For character.
He's one of my favorite characters of all time.
I would agree. And Because it really was like you saw him. And that was another thing I wanted to say. It was I don't remember who says it to him. I think it was the captain or madam or whatever, his boss said something to him about, just him as a I don't remember who it was, but somebody said, "Don't you ever smile?" or things like that, because he's a robot.
Yeah.
And did you catch at the very end of the movie, he smiled like a little bit, like when he was talking to Harrison Ford, like "Go see your daughter" kind of thing. I was like, man, this dude is more human than some humans. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it was.
I'd like to think that's something that replicants replicants want to be respected and treated the same as humans. Yeah. And I think at that in that moment, he felt like he became human in a way, and so he reached like a replicant's goal in a way. I don't know. Cool. I could talk about this stuff all day long.
Yeah. It was good. So,
plot.
Okay, so I did not like the plot.
Okay.
I'm gonna preface what I'm gonna say with that.
Okay.
Part of it might be because I didn't get it.
Okay.
So that is also I'm gonna
That's
preface
okay,
it.
man.
I'm gonna preface it with that. For me, tell me if I'm right or wrong.
Okay.
Oh, we will.
He kills the guy at the beginning.
Yes.
Very much so.
Finds the bones.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The bones reveal that there's a baby.
Mm-hmm.
He does some research, figures out there's 2 babies. Ish. This is kind of in rough order. I'm not remembering exactly.
So yeah, he finds out there were 2 babies. One of them died.
One of them died.
The girl.
The girl died.
Yep.
The boy lived. He disappeared.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
He begins to have memories, and he realizes that the memories are of this place that he actually has gone.
Mm-hmm.
Finds the horse in the place where he remembers leaving it.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And starts to begin to think that he is
the boy.
Right? So far?
Yes, correct.
Okay. The girl bad guy also figures this out and starts hunting him.
Yep.
He lies to his boss and tells her he's taking care of the boy.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Correct so far?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Then he leaves to go find Deckard.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But he meets the dream girl along the way.
Yeah. Dream Maker.
The dream maker.
Oh, I was like...
The girl in like the bubble?
Yeah.
The dream maker person who
that
turned...
scene was legit.
The dream maker scene?
Dude, where she's like making that memory of like a kid blowing out birth. I was like, that's so cool.
Yeah, the memory
So she's
maker.
making... And she tells him...
Yeah.
She tells him the line of... All memories are from...
Yeah, because he went there because he wanted to know if his memory was real or an implant.
Or an implant.
Yeah.
And she says all memories are based on
a little bit of fact.
a little bit of reality.
Kind of
right?
like the line of all lies have a little bit of truth in them.
Right.
Yeah.
So he leaves her and goes to Las Vegas. Does it actually say Las Vegas?
No.
Okay, that's what I thought.
But it looks like a Las Vegas casino.
That's how I interpreted it.
Especially with like the Elvis and the dancers.
That's how I interpret it. So that's where he finds Harrison Ford.
Yes.
And he thinks the whole time that it's his dad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he doesn't say anything.
Mm-hmm.
Harrison Ford doesn't know that he
Correct.
thinks that he's whatever. They fight. They kind of make up. And he starts explaining replicant whatever stuff. They find him, take him. And then that's kind of where it goes to me. But they fight. They take him away. They leave Kay there.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to think what happens next.
That's
Kay wakes up and goes after them. He is with her and
the girl that
Jared
comes up
Jared
to him while
Leto.
he's eating and all that. Yeah.
Oh,
Mackenzie
Harrison
did.
Ford is with...
Harrison Ford's with Jared Leto. That's when they
is
have
with Jared
their
Leto
when they
the
have their
weird-
conversation.
The fake
And he brings in
Rachel.
the fake Rachel and he tells her his eyes were the wrong color.
Yep.
That's
and that was
That
cool.
was really cool.
And then
And I thought it was the same like actress now. I was like, holy crap.
yeah, how did they do that? Yeah. It was a totally different actress, wasn't it?
I don't know.
They froze the original.
It just-
They
It
could have
just
done the
looked good.
CGI
She's
thing
a
that Star
replicant.
Wars did with episode 7, but
She's a rep.
yes. Then they puts him on the train or whatever plane thing.
Yeah.
And he hunts him down, finds him, shoots him down, lands in the water, have their fight scene, saves him, takes him back to his daughter, and smiles, and that's it.
Dies from his wounds.
So the only part that you missed that you kind of got a little confused on, I can tell, is how he like wakes up in a different place.
Yeah, in the tower? No.
No. because
in, like the underground kind of place.
So
I don't remember that part.
All right, so you were on track, and you said, all right, the
Tyrell
Corp.
He's left in the skyscraper.
Yeah, he's
and
left
Harrison
in the
Ford leaves.
Right, and I'm just gonna be blunt and call her a hooker.
Pretty good remembering.
Yeah, that was
by the way.
I did that off the top of my head.
That was pretty good.
That was good.
So the like hooker girl that whatever he like
the blonde girl
put in a tracker in his coat. Did you notice that?
Nope, I didn't.
When she was leaving, she put a little tracker in his coat, and when that happened, I was like, "Oh crap, she works for Jared Leto's company."
Yeah.
Didn't know that.
But turns out, because I thought that was how they like tracked him, but they probably just like had like a tracker in his car.
Well, they had all those like kind of like drones or whatever flying through, and then it like saw
body.
something, and
yeah.
It could have been in his body. I mean,
but so the girl, the girl that's in Terminator,
Mackenzie Davis.
the bad guy.
No,
the bad girl.
The
blonde
one,
girl. Yeah.
Finds him from the tracker, and he wakes up in that little campfire scene, like with her.
Yes.
And then like they have that whole underground scene with the lady with one eye missing. Did you remember that? Did you get up to pee at some point in the
Check your phone, like
I vaguely remember that.
So he's talking to essentially a replicant
the old
resistance.
Lady. The old lady from the first movie.
Mm-hmm.
And they like shadowed this side of her face. So you couldn't tell that she was one-eyed.
You know, you could tell.
Kind of. I know
you can tell.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I got you. She had a weird accent.
And she tells him, and that's when he puts it all together, that the dream maker is the real person.
She tells him that she was there when the baby was born. And there was, a girl. And he's like, no, there wasn't a girl. I remember that scene now. Okay. And she has a weird accent.
Yes.
Okay. I remember that scene.
But and then that's when, and she makes a line of, what you probably need to correct me if I'm wrong. It's something like, dying for a good cause is one of the most human thing we can do.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
And that's
I'm with you.
Basically what happens.
Okay, so I'm with you.
And yeah, exactly. So
I'm with you.
I don't know if that clarifies anything for you, but
so for me, it's not a bad plot. It just is too slow. Like, I don't know, way too slow for me, personally.
Mm-hmm.
Like they dragged out little things that they kind of just could have done, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, he kind of figured out that he was the son, right? Pretty early. Like, relatively early in the movie.
When he starts having those, like, memories and stuff like that.
He kind of starts piecing it together.
He starts
piecing it together. And as the audience, we're like, oh, okay, there we go. I liked the plot twist at the end of him not being the son. But for the next, like, hour, all we do is follow him around as he, like, validates that, like, thought process.
Mm-hmm.
And so, it's like, to me, that middle hour was, like, so slow. Because we were basically just talking about the same thing over and over and over and over and over without really saying or doing anything. I don't know. Does that feel like
I know what you're saying, and I like you're very true. Like the story is told very slow, but for me it was okay. So what did you get?
So I get
1.
I gave it a 4.
Okay.
Yeah. So I gave it a 4, and the reason I gave it a 4, the plot twist was cool. There
was like 2 plot twists.
Yeah.
There was like 3.
Well, I mean like the big one.
The main one of he's not the.
I mean that one, and I liked it. I think it might have been cooler for them to actually have both been like humans, and like him been like him the sister or whatever, like they were like twins or whatever.
It feels very Star Wars.
That would have been very like cliche or whatever. So I did like the twist, and I thought the plot was cool. Like it was a cool idea.
Yeah.
It just took so long for me.
I get you.
And it was so simple as far as like learn to this piece of information, learn to this piece of information, put them together equals this piece of information. And that's kind of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I think that's most movies.
No, I know, but like I don't know, dude. There was just
it's maybe
I don't know.
Maybe we let me do you
I want to hear no, I genuinely do want to hear your thoughts because this whole movie I was sitting there like this is one of Luke's favorite movies of all time. He literally told me the day he watched this, he said, I love this movie. I want you to watch this movie. This is top 5, top 10 movie for me all time. And I was like, bro, I want to like this movie. So I kept watching, and I kept hoping for it to get better.
I appreciate you doing
I genuinely did. I didn't go into this movie with a negative attitude. I tried not to poop on it.
Too much.
Too much. But at one point, I was about an hour and a half in, and I was like, there has not been anything that's happened for 45 minutes. And I want to fast forward. I didn't fast forward.
You fast forward through one part apparently.
I fast forwarded through.
No, he had a bathroom break.
I fast forwarded through the sex scene in the apartment, which I didn't actually know if it was actually going to be a sex scene or not. But the weird thing.
You may have actually fast forwarded where she put the thing in his pocket.
I probably did because I just skipped that like that. You know how you can
because
just
they didn't do anything if I remember correctly.
No, they didn't.
Yeah,
I just skipped that
he's
scene.
committed to joy.
Oh, okay, that was the weird scene whenever they were like
sinking
this, and I was like, that.
Yeah,
dude, that was trippy.
I just went next, then I just fast forwarded that part. But
no, they didn't.
So anyway,
anything.
I tried to have a good attitude, but there was literally a point in the movie when Callie and I are both sitting there, and we're like, we've been watching for literally an hour and a half, hour 45, and nothing has happened.
Yeah,
since I don't even remember when at this point. And that's when he went to Las Vegas, and I was like, okay, here we go. Let's go.
Harrison Ford.
And I liked the ending.
And his dog.
The dog was cool.
Yeah. Where he pours out a little whiskey for the dog. I was like,
There were some very Harrison Ford things, things in this movie. But okay, anyway, sorry. I'm just ranting at this point. I liked it. Some of it.
Enough to give it a 4.
Enough to give it a 4. So what I'm saying is a 4... for me is gracious. If I were if I didn't know that you loved this movie,
he would have gave it a 1.
I probably would have given it a 1, maybe a 2. But I tried. I tried really hard.
I appreciate it.
It was just it's not my style, and it's not, and it's so subjective. I went online and I read a bunch of reviews, and literally every review I read was either an 8, 9, or 10 out of 10, or a 1, 2, or 3 out of 10. Mm-hmm. There was nothing in the middle.
Which is, I'm not trying to call you like the general public, which I think is why it didn't.
Yeah,
hit
I totally see why people are like that. My overall score is going to end up being roughly in the middle. This section and the next section are bad, and they're really low. And I'm going to defend my answers, and I want to hear your answers.
Okay.
But so for those of you out there who either watched this movie and didn't like it, or watched this movie and loved it, for me personally, it's too slow, too drawn out. I loved Kay, and I loved the side of what was happening. It just took so long, in my opinion.
Okay, so I gave this section a 10 out of 10. You too?
Ditto.
Okay. Ugh. All right, so here's my thing. So I mentioned this earlier. So we're seeing the way this movie's told is as if we're Kay and we're finding things out as he finds out. We're experiencing things
I got that.
He experienced.
It's slow and it kind of
yeah. And so for me, the way so at first I'm like, okay, he's a replicant. This is kind of like the first Blade Runner. We're just following Deckard, he's a human, and then they twist it. You're like, oh crap, he's the son because he's having these memories. But me, I was like, I don't know if that stuff's real though.
It's all
are those just implants? Is she just creating those memories for him? So when he goes to that place to find the horse, is the horse actually going to be there?
Right.
Oh yeah.
Is all that real? And so I didn't know if that was going to mess with it.
I thought that too, and then he pulled out the horse. I was like, oh snap.
Yeah. So for me, it twisted it. Then untwisted it and then twisted it again, the story.
Yeah.
So it's they gave you a twist and then they're like, just kidding. Then they gave you another twist and you're like, oh, okay.
So what would you say the first twist was? Him pulling out the horse?
Him starting to figure out that he is the child.
Oh, okay.
Because that's what it's all about. That's what
okay.
The company Jared Leto character is in charge of. They're wanting to find that person so they can Wallace. Yeah, they're wanting to find him so they can, or the child so they can experiment on it.
Yeah.
To create these new replicants.
Okay. So for me, I saw that coming as far as him being the child, which is why I'm glad they didn't do that and they twisted at the end because that was kind of
yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
See it coming. So
yeah, a little
I saw it more as being going to be like a Mandalorian, this person that's supposed to be closed off from all this stuff, emotion, and then they find this thing and they're supposed to learn to care for it. I thought that's how the story was going to go. He was going to find this child he was gonna become more human because of the child.
Interesting.
That was my thoughts of it. And so like him figuring out that he is possibly the son. So they have you believe in that the whole time. You're like, he's the son, all this. And then they shoot, where was I going?
They untwist it.
They untwist it. So they're like, oh crap, like you're not. You see him kind of being like, because you go into this meeting with him and Harrison Ford with so much expectation, like it's the reunion.
Hey, Dad.
Everyone wanted that kind of thing.
I just kept waiting.
And then you figure it out, and it's just like, I don't know. Those moments hit for me very hard. Like him figuring it out, and you're just like, you can feel the disappointment inside of him, and stuff like that. And you're just like, golly, that sucks. So it's like it turns out he is just a replicant. He's a nobody, basically.
Just a robot. Yeah.
Which I mean, I'm kind of, as we talk about, I'm seeing more parallels with like a, not full on Tarantino, but like a little bit more of the way he goes with things, more character driven. So these character moments are supposed to hit, maybe not these, a certain way. And so him going and then them figuring out that the memory maker is his daughter and him sitting there dying, like him becoming in a sense, human is. I have so many jumbled thoughts right now, Paul. You might need to go.
So, quick question: we're just assuming he bled out at the end, right?
From his injuries, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
That was my only meta question, AJ. No, I'm just kidding.
Really? I mean, I thought it was implied.
No. I think he died.
Yeah.
But so yes, I gave this section also a 10. Because I agree 100% with Luke. It's very much like. You really have to watch this movie and think the way a machine figuring out or thinking he's human and then realizing he's not.
Yeah.
So yes, I agree that maybe some of the steps he took to figure out, because I honestly felt like I figured out that he was Deckard's son almost immediately. Which I think you were supposed to.
As soon as the son storyline was out there,
right?
Yeah.
Like they found out there was a baby. Yeah, that's kind of how I was. Yeah.
So I think you were supposed to.
You're supposed to make that assumption
because you then because you think, and for me it was also a bit of doubt. Like, oh man, no, he's not. He's too much of a robot. He's not the. But then I was like, well, he was born from a replicant, so he's gonna still. In my head I played it out and. So I'm sure he was doing the same thing of like, I have to check, and recheck and figure out any way to make it to where because he's trying to think in his head, this is true and this isn't true. He's like, he doesn't know which way to go. And one of the biggest moments for me, and at the end you figure out it's a completely big moment for another reason, is where when he goes to see the dream maker and he says, I want you to look in my mind and tell me if this memory is real. And she starts crying, which at first you have no clue why. I was like, why is she crying?
Yeah.
And then at the end you figure out why it's because it was her memory. But then
so she was the child.
Yeah. She was the child in the memory. But he yells. He gets so mad and angry because he realizes, or in his mind, that was his final validation of, damn it, I am he almost didn't want to be this guy's son. He's like, I don't want to have to deal with it. But he yelled. He just goes, and I was like, what just happened? But then I thought back on it. I was like, it just validated that for sure he's, again, in his mind. And then you find the twist. At that point, I was like, he's for sure the son. He's got to go find Deckard now. And so it's just an emotional roller coaster. Like I just had to think of it as I was him again, kind of like Luke said.
Yeah.
And that's why I gave it a 10 for character, and that's why I'm giving it a 10 for plot, because it's just so up and down. And it's just, you really just feel like you are on a ride with this. I totally agree with that Luke said. You're just so tied emotionally too. Because when that woman said, no, the child was a girl, I was like, oh. And that's where he falls into his chair and everything like that. I was like, I was right there with him.
Yeah, like that clarifies my thoughts. Is like you gotta go through this plot as you gotta be so enveloped with Kay that you're following his mindset through all of this, and that's what made it for me. Because if you think of it as like a third person kind of out here like this, watching from above, and then I think that's where in a lot of the things you're like, oh, this, and this, but you're thinking it as him. He goes to the orphan sweatshop thing they have going on. That was rough.
And like when he first paused, I was like, what's he? I was like in my head, I was like, is Harrison Ford like at the end of the tunnel or whatever?
Yeah.
And then like he walks down there and it's like the same shot of where I was like, oh my God, it was like, I really was figuring it out as he was.
Yeah.
Which again, a lot of movies, like I pride myself in being able to figure stuff out really early. Like have you guys seen Book of Eli?
Yeah.
So spoiler for whatever, like I called like 30 minutes into the movie that he was blind. Like I pride myself in trying to figure that stuff out. I was literally figuring it out as he was.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know. I think that was.
Well, that happened on my rewatch too. Like even rewatching, I was sitting there just like, it's almost like as if I forgot everything, and I'm just like sitting there just like, yeah, like the bones in the box and the numbers and the and this and like I don't know. It's because if you do think about it, I guess as you thought about it, it is some points might be obvious, but
I don't know. For me, from minute like 30 to minute like 120, just like there was a barren wasteland of nothing.
Hey, dude, and that's why we have three dudes on here, because there's always going to be a different opinion. So.
Yeah, I don't know, and I do want to rewatch it. Not soon.
You don't have another 3 hours.
Not super soon, but I do want to rewatch it eventually, and I do want to watch it with that mindset of watching it from his perspective.
And see, I do feel like I agree that for a lot of people, I would say maybe the majority of people are probably like you, that don't want to watch it because it's so long. I was almost deterred when I was like, man, I got to figure out a way to not watch this movie, because I was watching it at like 10 o'clock at night, and I was like, oh my God, but I'm so glad I did, and things like that. But for you, like, I have a feeling a lot of people watched it the first time and never watched it again.
Yeah.
I feel like those people need to watch it a second time and then just see. But I agree. Yeah, it's it's long, it's different.
Well, they made such a good character, because like from the start you feel bad for him. You feel different ways about him. I think that's what helps immerse you into this character, is they created someone that you feel for, like in all those moments. And it's like you feel like his love towards Joy and stuff like that. And I mean, that even comes when the one chick that puts the beeper thing in his jacket. Like he's just like, oh, you don't like real people, or you don't love real people.
Dude, that was such a twist too. Because was she a replicant or not?
I think she was.
I do too.
Yeah.
Because that was another thing that you probably missed, because she was in that little underground replicant group, and she took him to that. But like, there's a line where at the beginning, like when she first meet, oh, you must not like the real thing. Yeah. And so I thought she was human until I saw her like with that girl. I was like, oh my God, she's a replicant.
Yeah. It's just, I don't know. I think they made such a compelling character that it's in following his story, and like we've said repeatedly, you got to be in his mindset.
See, I
to
think
really go through it.
I think you actually. What you said about Tarantino is really interesting, because Tarantino does that to where like there is no plot, really, if you think about it. The plot is this character
arc.
Yeah, he figures this out and he changes because of this. Like that's the whole plot of, I mean, basically any Tarantino movie essentially. But so I think that's interesting for me. That I don't know, it didn't click that way. But okay, the next section is...
I feel like Luke and I could talk about this forever. Let's move on before we're here all night.
All these different theories and whatnot.
Okay. The conflict, tension, and urgency. I said that the conflict was solid. I said there were moments of tension. Obviously, with the movie being that long, you couldn't sustain tension for that long. And I said there was very, very little urgency for me. So I gave this section a 4. Again, like I said, there was no tension. There was no moment where I was like on the edge of my seat, nearly at all. Like the end, there was obviously, with the fight scene and
Yeah.
Even the scene
Harrison Ford was gonna die, man.
Even with the scene with Harrison Ford and Jared Leto, I thought that scene was pretty tense. Just kind of interesting and whatever. The conflict was awesome as far as the personal conflict inside, the internal conflict with him trying to figure things out and whether he's human or not. I think that was awesome. The urgency, though, there's no urgency really whatsoever. So for those reasons, that's why I gave it that score. But I don't know. The way the movie is shot, the way it's directed, the way it's handled, I don't know if there's meant to be tension and urgency. So I don't really know. I didn't really know how to judge this section.
It's weird because to him, because he doesn't know he's being hunted for the most part.
Right.
So he's just going by, his own pace. And so the urgency is us knowing that he is being hunted, I think. And that's where it comes from for me, is because we know something that he doesn't really know. And then that creates conflict as well. And like you said, he has that I give this section a 9 out of 10. His inner conflict of like, am I human? Am I a replicant? Am I his son? Am I this? That for me probably carried the movie. Or not carried the movie, but
this section
carried this section.
Yeah.
Was all of that is just him not knowing. I mean, that kind of, it all just kind of comes together with the compelling character that creates a compelling plot, that creates a compelling internal conflict, because like we said, and I just said, like, yeah, we don't know, because we don't know, and that creates like internal conflict. Like I'm sitting there just like trying to guess the whole time. I'm like, I don't know. But yeah, 9 out of 10 for me. And yeah, I don't.
Yeah. You good, dude? I gave it an 8. And I agree with 100% with what you guys said. The only time I would say, because I agree that there's little to no urgency until the Wallace Court people take Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From that
And then
point
from
on.
there on, I would say there's urgency of like,
Yeah, no, I agree.
we got to save him.
Totally agree.
So,
I'm just saying that's
no, I
like
got you.
10% of the movie.
Yeah, so that's why I gave
Or
it.
less.
2 hours and 40
That's
minutes.
why- that was like 30
scene
minutes
took,
of the movie.
That scene took place like 2:20 and 2:40.
Yeah.
So that's what that. No, I totally agree. From that point on, I was like, no, let's go.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, it took that long for me to be like, let's go.
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, I also feel like the conflict,
Conflict was
internal,
strong.
external conflict was there.
It's strong. Yeah.
I felt like there was tension there, just even like in the scenes where where he starts thinking he's more human and he goes in for that baseline scan and he just bombs
The
it.
baseline thing was super interesting. That
and
was
yeah.
awesome. They had to like go back in and like
Cells.
Yeah, like that was a really cool idea. He had to like prove that he was still like okay.
Yeah, and then
That was
like
cool.
the scenes, like I said, with the evil replicant girl, like I'm not kidding. I swear, every time she was on screen, I was like, "Holy crap, something's about to happen."
Pretty menacing.
I never felt like she was that big of a threat. Like she obviously was like extremely like violent and strong and powerful. But like I don't know, for whatever reason for me she always felt like she was far enough behind him to where I was like
well,
I knew she would catch up with him. Obviously that has
right.
to happen. But I was like for me like I don't know, like typically the villain, I don't know, you take any movie you want I guess, but like typically the villain is in and out and they're like, "Oh, they were that close." Or you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I don't know, for me, they were just never in the same room, really.
Until the end.
And so for that reason, I just kind of felt like she was never really...
I got
like, she was a threat because she was killing people and figuring things out and putting things together. But I don't know, like, as far as that side of the tension and urgency for me, like, I understand what you're saying, that we knew she was following him and he didn't know that.
Yeah.
I don't know. She never got that close to actually catching him.
I gotcha.
Or hurting him until the very end.
He was shooting like missiles at him when he was like flying to the orphanage thing, right? Or someone's shooting something at him.
Oh, I think that was just like
It was just
the people on the. I think it was just like people on the ground.
Yeah, you're right, because he got out of the car or whatever.
And then like a bunch of people came out.
Yeah.
That's what
But
I thought.
I understand what you're saying of the point.
Does that
of
make sense? Kind of.
Yeah, no.
That she didn't. She just. I don't know. They were never on screen together,
Yeah,
and they were never like they never. Like I don't know. You take a Star Wars movie or a Batman movie or really any movie, and the villain is like there's like little sub battles that happen.
Yeah.
Along the way, and I don't know. That never really happened for me, and so like she was a cool character from an evil perspective, villain perspective. But I
guess I just felt more tense for like what was going on in her scenes at that moment.
Like what was actually happening.
Like when she's in the morgue stealing the bones and then she kills that guy. When she goes to
that's a good point.
Goes to the captain and it's like, where is he? And she like crushes that glass in her hand. I was just like, ah.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
That was, and like, so I think like that's what I mean. But I do understand what you're saying of like it's not a classic villain good guy tension.
And it doesn't necessarily have to be like a classical thing. I don't know. For me, like she was cool.
Yeah, no.
But she just was never.
I got you.
I don't think
never a threat.
I ever needed like a classic villain thing. I guess for me, I was just like, don't hurt him the whole time. I'm like, don't hurt Kay.
Don't kill this guy.
Don't kill him. He's so nice.
He was so far ahead.
Yeah.
It felt like.
I got you.
I don't know.
No, dude.
It's kind of like episode 5 in Star Wars, when Darth Vader's like distant, like the whole movie. Mm-hmm. There's just like no...
Until the end.
Yeah, there's just no threat the whole movie. It's just kind of like... That's kind of why that movie drags for me in episode 5. It's because there's
dude, we're getting a little ahead to next week.
I don't know. I'm just saying. Like, that was actually the first example that came to my head of
no, you're good.
a movie with a kind of an absent bad guy. But any final thoughts on that section?
No. Would you gave it a 9?
Yeah.
You gave it a
4.
Whatever.
I think that was probably my least like thoughtful section.
4.
I guess.
No, you're good, man.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Cinematic elements.
Okay.
10 out of 10.
You guys are both gonna say 10 out of 10.
Believe it.
Yeah. Okay. I gave it an 8 out of 10.
Why?
Hey, an 8 is a good score.
It's comparatively better than his other scores.
An 8 is a really good score. Okay, I love the cinematography. I love the CGI, the music, the like the lighting, the way, like the color. Everything was really cool. Like the way they did things was really cool, and some of the ideas that they had, and they were really cool. The jukebox that had like the person in it,
dude. Yeah, the little holograms.
Super cool. Though you mentioned it earlier, the way they handled the computer program, she flickered in the rain. You could see her like, and then they would kind of cut, and she would like turn, and like half of her would fade away.
She'd become like somewhat like semi-solid, like almost gain control at some point where you
like
can almost like touch her. And
I thought that was really cool. I thought the way they handled the violence and the action and like the gore and the explosions and like I thought all that stuff was really, really well done. They had a big budget, so like they did all that stuff really well. Mm-hmm. For me, the two things that bothered me were the excessive nudity. One, like I don't know, it just like at some point there was just too much. Like it just bugged me.
That's just cyberpunk in general.
Yeah,
that
is true.
And I kind of felt that like it was just kind of like that was the world they lived in. Whatever. It
Because if you watch anything else like cyberpunky, like that's just kind of how it is.
Yeah. To me, it didn't bother me. Like I was like, this movie sucks. But like that just like kind of irked me a little bit. It was like, let's just throw another naked person in there and see what happens. And then the gigantic one on the, like
that was the only one that bugged me.
I was like, that is so unnecessary. She does not need to be naked. Like have her just be in a bikini. I literally don't care.
Giant naked girl.
It's like she's like 75,000 feet tall.
Got the BFG here. And
she was like pink or blue or something.
Pink and purple.
I was just like. Literally, you're naked giant, like Asian Teletubby. Like what? That literally to me was the icing on the cake. And then the other thing for me, the second reason I knocked at a point was I thought it was too long, bro. Like
we know.
So, okay, wait.
I didn't really know where. I didn't really know which section to take a point off of.
Yeah.
And so I just kind of ended on this one. Because I didn't want to hurt the plot more than it was already hurt, and so to me, this was kind of the section I was like, that was a cinematic decision for them to make it that long, and so I knocked it a point for them the way that they handled the movie. I think it was excessively long, in my opinion. And you guys loved every second of it, so to you guys it was perfect. Yeah, and that's how I feel about Lord of the Rings. Like Lord of the Rings, people always like, it's so freaking long, bro. I love Lord of the Rings, so. Like, I understand. Like, it just kind of works for some people, and for other people, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the reason I gave it an 8. An 8 is a good score.
I think I premised these movies with that before we watch them. Like, I told you guys last time, like, these aren't for everybody. Like,
yeah.
But yeah, I gave cinematic elements a 10 out of 10. first off, because the movie was stinking gorgeous.
It was gorgeous.
Like
oh my god,
wide shots of just like him
totally
flying
agree.
through Los Angeles
Totally
or whatever.
agree.
I'm just like,
super
Well,
car.
at one point they panned up and they showed like all the houses.
yeah.
Oh
It just,
yeah.
kept going. I was like, holy crap. No,
Well,
I
yeah, it starts on a scene of like the towers with just a bunch of solar panels. I was like, holy crap.
I totally agree. I think the movie was beautifully
Because
done.
it's like even like the scenes, like the movie's like very bleak, a lot of dark
of
colors, grays and stuff like that. But even at the beginning with the dead tree and the dirt, I was like, golly, this is stinking gorgeous. And like
whenever
then
they're outside, it's so dry and barren. It looks like a desert.
it's so pretty. And then he goes back to that. There's a scene where he goes back to the house and he's sitting on the couch, just kind of sitting there, just kind of like looking around, observing. And you see this shot like of his face. And I was like, God, that's just it's so good looking. Like the color in it,
The way they lit everything was awesome.
Yes, the lighting was great.
The coloring that they did, like the orange that they used for the like Las Vegas, like part of the story. I thought that was really cool. Like I totally agree. I think the way they did everything was awesome. Like it was so gorgeous, and the animation was so good. Like it was so seamless. Like you couldn't really, like you could tell what was CGI and what wasn't. Ish.
Well, just because
obviously because it wasn't real, like it was a computer program.
But it was
Right.
it was
But it
very
looked
realistic.
It looked legit and it looked great.
Which for a movie set in the future, for me there wasn't that much like CGI. I mean, there obviously was with a lot of holograms and stuff, which I love. That's one thing I love about the aesthetic of like these kind of things is like the use of these really colorful holograms really makes things pop, and that's what you really make it notice. And all because everything else is so dark and rainy and whatnot. But just the colors they use, the soundtrack, just like the kind of like ambient soundtrack they have playing, like that's one of my favorite ones to listen to at work.
That was cool. Hans Zimmer, bro.
Yeah, that's right. Because this was one of my top 5 soundtracks.
Hans Zimmer.
Yeah,
that dude just can't make bad music.
No, and then the nudity didn't bother me just because I guess I know, like this is one of my favorite like worlds to be in is all this like again cyberpunk, and so there's a video game coming out next year called Cyber 2077, and I am buying that game like night of. I'm standing in line. But that's all just kind of I love that kind of stuff, and so the nudity didn't bother me just because I knew.
Did you like the Teletubby
part of it? Her?
Yeah.
I
don't know why, but him like walking down and her like bending down and saying, "Hi, you look lonely." I don't think
that
was
pointless.
weird.
For me, that was a personal moment for him because that was him seeing, the thing or whatever that he loves, and her
She was
not
dead.
recognizing, pretty much dead. Yeah, not recognizing him. Like
fair.
he's sitting there interacting with another hologram
A different
of her,
version of her,
and she doesn't recognize him. She doesn't know who he is. For me, that was more of a personal moment. I didn't pay as much attention to the nudity, I guess, but for me, I was paying attention. I was like, man, that's just so sad. Like there he is looking at. That's like if you like.
Was it the same actress?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't notice that.
That's like if I loved like, if my dog I really love or something, and then I see
Like
another
the same
dog that
dog.
looks exactly like that.
Well, I say,
dog,
just
and it
imagine
just doesn't know you.
Your wife or your future wife dying,
Yeah.
and then there's like a twin that has no like. Okay, I understand Luke's point a bit more now.
Yeah.
I do too.
But
I'm
yes,
just saying
I agree. She didn't have to be naked.
humongous and naked and purple. Like all 3 of those decisions were wrong on so many levels. Like that could have been such a touching, beautiful moment, and I was distracted by the freaking giant naked purple person. I didn't even know it was the same actress.
Yeah, such a pervert.
Didn't even know it was the same actress. I was literally like, "Why is she so tall?
Why is she so?
I don't know. I guess I was just so engrossed in the movie and the story.
Like, golly."
No, but yeah, 10 out of 10. And like, Paul, do you have anything to add?
So and I'm glad that you. I need to now find it and download it. One of my favorite things about both movies that that has been touched on, but I just have to add my 2 cents, is this soundtrack. Mm-hmm. I mean, I even love the soundtrack of the first one.
Yeah, I did
I
too.
mean, like, I just thought that was the most killer, perfect soundtrack to be with both of these movies.
Yeah.
But yeah, cinematic elements were stellar. I mean, even just like the mechanics of some things, just of how like the jukebox worked, of it being really old technology, to how Joy had to be on like at first was like on a thing on his ceiling,
like a projector thing, almost like a moving projector.
And
I liked the Elvis.
The Elvis
on
thing
stage, that was cool.
And then and then how Joy ends up being like on a little vape stick in his pocket or whatever.
A jewel.
Yeah,
that's what it looked like. literally what it looked like.
I mean, just like, and then like I said, the throwbacks to the first movie, how Deckard had his original gun and his original car. That got blown up, and I was like, so
the guns were cool. I liked the
attention
guns.
to
they were like
detail.
gun looking, but slightly different.
Yeah,
that was cool.
Yeah, they seemed very powerful.
They were like extra. It's like a shotgun pistol kind of thing.
Dude, yeah. In the first one, where he shoots the first person, like their whole like shoulder blows out, and I'm like, oh my gosh.
Dude, yeah. I don't know what, but the way Ryan Gosling like shot the gun was dope. He was like
he shot it so quick.
The double shots,
like the double tap, like really fast.
It was very
in a
John
row.
Wick.
It was awesome.
Yeah, and you see that's how he kills Batista at the very beginning. Just like he goes, please don't get up, and then he gets his gun and he gets up and is like about to charge and he goes, pop.
Yeah,
it's just like, man, like, and also the words Blade Runner sounds so cool to me.
Blade Runner is a really cool name, and like I said, it's a cool idea. Like the whole idea is really really cool. Okay, final score for me is a 31. I think it's the lowest score I've ever given a movie on the show. I might have given American Gangster a low.
Even Heat?
I actually I forget what I gave Heat. It must have been a 30.
That's funny.
It was probably close. But dude, yeah, Heat, American Gangster, and this are my bottom 3 that we've done so far.
Man.
Which I know that hurts your feels. But
that's okay.
What'd you give it, 49?
46.
Oh, 49.
Wow. I can't believe I scored this movie higher than Luke. I gave it 48.
Nice.
Freaking you guys, man. Y'all are just passing out 45 left and right.
Okay, so
that's like 5 in a row for y'all.
I agree with your statement, and it's a flaw of mine. When I watch a movie for the first time, I'm either gonna really enjoy it or really hate it.
Yeah.
And the more I watch things, whether that love hate stays or grows or whatever. So yeah, I may be a little, but I feel like this movie deserves a high 40s.
So that one, last week, Shutter Island.
Here we go. Let's go.
Sicario, Quiet Place, Terminator. That's 5 in a row.
We review the best movies past and present. That's the tagline.
I'm just saying, 5 in a row, 45 plus.
I even scored Terminator Dark Fate in the 40s. Oh yeah, and I had a 50.
He had a 50. So the first 50 on the show.
The last movie that I scored that was
Stanford Prison Experiment
was below a 40 was Pulp Fiction.
And you love that movie.
And I love that movie.
You gave that below a 40.
I gave it a 37.
Just to prove myself too, I have a 36 for Shutter Island.
Ouch.
A 42 for Sicario.
42 solid.
A 39 and a 33 for the Terminator movies.
Solid.
45 for A Quiet Place.
Solid.
A 40 for Pulp Fiction.
Nice.
And we'll stop at Joker. I can't remember. 44 for Joker. But yeah.
See, Luke and I feel like are relatively the same score every week. We just flip flop. Like I'll go high, he kind of goes low. I go high, he kind of goes low, or whatever.
It's actually the plan of the show. We are scoring this on purpose.
And then Paul is like biasedly high.
Okay,
all the
so
time.
Here's the thing. I just did the math. I've been on the show for 13 episodes now. 4 of them have been below 40.
How many of them have been above 45?
Oh, shoot.
5 or more.
Let's go back.
That's pretty good, though, for 13 shows and 4...
13 shows and only... I just love movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is totally...
We do genuinely review really good movies, like in general. We don't pick crappy movies to review.
Yeah.
You said above a 45. Okay, 1...
Till Luke picked American Gangster.
2...
That was your pick.
Was it really?
Yes, that was you.
Oh, it's because my brother said, bro, you gotta watch this movie. I was like, okay.
And we watched it at your house.
And it was terrible.
And it was the worst 5 hours of my life.
Terrible. So bad. Austin, I hate you. Wherever you are listening. If you're not listening, you're a jerk.
Shooting ducks or something.
Oh, you're a jerk. What a terrible
7
movie.
are above a 45.
I told you, bro. So more than half.
Okay, but we've watched
a bunch of good movies.
We've watched the ones that have been right up your alley, though.
That is true.
That is very true.
And you've picked a bunch of the recent ones, too.
Well, and Luke and I are very on the same wavelength because the only 50 it was A Quiet Place, and this movie got a 48. And I think, what was my Whiplash score? It had to have been the high 40s.
Whiplash was high.
Let's see. No, I actually gave Whiplash a 37.
Whoa!
What?
Yeah.
I love that movie.
I loved it too, but I
That's so
forgot
good.
that
I remember you only saying good things about it the whole time.
I think it was a weird score for me. Yeah. So yeah, can we guess whose movie pick was the lowest for me?
Yeah, I told you, Stanford Prison Experiment.
Oh, that's so.
What'd you
funny.
give that one? A 34?
31.
Oh, that's
Oh my God.
So the same score you gave this
That's what I'm
movie.
giving Blade Runner. Yeah. Okay. Okay. I see. Okay. So real quick, since you guys already read your scores, Signs 39, Joker 38, Pulp Fiction 38, Quiet Place 44, Terminator 43, Sicario 45, Shutter Island 47, Blade Runner 31. That's a pretty good mix.
I'm the opposite of you.
That's funny.
But no, see,
We should have a place that we literally have all the movies we've reviewed and our scores next to them.
Do we need to get like a whiteboard so we can pull up?
Well,
at
I
the
mean,
end
like
and,
digitally somewhere,
oh yeah,
like on a website
okay.
or social media or somewhere.
I was gonna say
we
I
have,
got
like-
room on the wall. I can take
Like
something down.
our top 5 movies are like combined and average scores are this.
we'll have to average all our scores at the end of the year.
Yeah, I think that'd be fun.
Yeah, we'll have
Have to
a
do-
numbers episode at the end of the
That'd
year.
be fun. We have like
Just
rank
carry the
all
one
movies.
and then
Yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be a fun idea. Okay, meta questions for Blade Runner 2049. I have.
I have none because we've covered them all
Oh,
already.
okay.
I
So-
actually have one.
Oh yeah.
Luke has one.
Go for
Get it.
Yeah. So I don't know how meta this is, but were you guys happy or sad that there was how much Harrison Ford there was in the movie? I know
Sad.
you were probably sad.
Very sad.
I
He's
was-
like on the poster.
Well, yeah.
Well, yeah, because he's Rick Deckard.
He's like Harrison Ford. And you gave him 10 minutes of stage time.
He's the OG Blade Runner.
Gave him 10 minutes of screen time.
So I was upset at first,
Mm-hmm.
and then at the end, I was content.
Okay.
I can feel that.
I do agree that I wish he was in the movie more.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe for
Yeah.
an hour to an hour and a half.
To 2.5.
No,
I'm with you. So for
but
me,
like I was upset at the end of it. I was like, oh man, but I was content.
Yeah. Okay.
for me, if you put him earlier in the movie, he steals the show.
That is true.
And so I feel that. If you put him earlier in the movie, then this like weird, distant.
Well,
like,
this wasn't his story.
It's not his story, and he's been in hiding for whatever. So like, why would he come out of hiding all of a sudden? So like, I
Because
get
there's
it.
no reason for him. It's not
There's-
like he knew what was going on.
Exactly. So for me, I understood why they did what they did.
you want a
Don't
parallel? I got a parallel.
Don't get me
here.
wrong. I just like it.
I want a parallel.
It irked me.
I got a good one now.
Okay.
So
I know what you're gonna say.
how this how this movie would have panned out if Harrison Ford would have been in it earlier, because it did it the exact same way, would have been Force Awakens all over again.
Literally, that's exactly what. Yeah,
Because
100%. No, you're
he
you're
came in
completely
the
right.
half of the movie and just
And he stole the show, and the
Yeah.
whole movie's about him.
Yep.
And it turned into a Han Solo movie. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, 100%. And I totally agree with that. And I'm being selfish because I love Harrison Ford. Give me more Harrison Ford.
Obviously, we all do.
Yeah.
We all do. That's why he's Harrison.
We're probably
Ford.
going to talk about him for a good hour on an episode
Bruh.
at some point.
It's America's
Uh,
pastime.
let's
Just Harrison
go.
Ford.
Yeah.
Yeah, there should be a section on Netflix just Harrison Ford. Anyway, I agree with Paul. Like I was content at the end, but for 2 hours I was angry. Where's
Yeah.
Harrison Ford? But yeah, I agree. Like, and it wasn't his movie. It's not his story. It's not his show. It's not like. And I did like that he was found. Like he had to go find him. He didn't just like pop in and save the day. I like that.
Hey guys, I'm Harrison Ford.
He was very Luke
You're right.
Skywalker-esque,
Yeah.
kind of in hiding or whatever. Thought that was cool.
So I really liked it.
You liked him
That
being
he
at
was
the end.
only in the 30 minutes. I had said one point it's not his story.
Because he even stole the show for those 30
And
minutes.
we were like, again, we were
That's
seeing
true.
it through Kay's mind. So Kay doesn't know any of this. We're seeing it in Kay's perspective. And then also for me, this is not a story movie related, but I feel like it's almost a nostalgia play, like in the Terminator movies whenever they have Arnold Schwarzenegger come back. I think having him in the movie, it's almost playing on people's nostalgia. Like obviously he's essential to the story just his being is essential to it, because then you don't have the kids, and then you don't all this that.
Right.
But no, I was perfectly content with it. Which now I just remembered some stuff I wish I would have said in plot.
Okay, I have three questions.
Okay,
it's kind of like 2 questions and a sub question.
Was it too long? No, I'm just kidding. Sorry.
Yes, definitively yes. Yeah, we should have a meta question like section that's like just yes or no answers. Speed round. Okay. Anyway, did you guys ever, for even a slight second, think that Dave Bautista was the father?
No.
Really?
No.
I thought it for like, I don't know, 5 or 10 minutes. I was like, he just shot his dad. No, I was like, there's no way he just shot his dad. That was the only reason I was like.
They don't even look alike.
Yeah, well, yeah, that too. But,
well, I mean,
he's a replicant.
Who? Dave
Bautista.
Oh, yeah.
So then I was like, that doesn't make sense.
Right. Well,
But
I mean,
then I was like, maybe. I was like, nah, Harrison Ford's going to be the dad.
Yeah, the moment they said it was Rachel's bones, I was like, oh.
See, I didn't. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know why I didn't connect those things.
He's just kind of like the caretaker in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did like his character though. He was cool.
He was
cool. Yeah.
Do you
the little tiny glasses he put on?
Yeah. Which suited him. I was like,
I know.
I was like, those look so tiny as his hands. I was like, wait, those actually look good.
Do you think that the Blade Runner series is held in too high of respect, not high enough respect, or just right?
I think it's more of a cult thing.
Okay.
Because like I said, it's not a everybody thing, but I do think they're kind of essential watches. Because if you, not to get like not political, but I think they do have a lot of parallels to like today's times and stuff like that. In some ways, if you really think about it, because because the point of the children, and then the big main overarching thing is there's the new replicants and Wallace, who's making those, and there's the old replicants, and all the old replicants want is to be able to be respected, to be able to see as equal and stuff like that. And all the new ones want to do is advance, and all this like this slave labor is what they say at one point and stuff like that. It's like just corporate in a way.
That's what they were designed for.
Yeah, and then so I don't know. It's just
Interesting.
I think it's not appreciated enough.
Because some people that I read online are like, these are the greatest sci-fi movies ever, and these created the sci-fi genre, and like these saved the sci-fi genre, and all this stuff. I was like, I don't feel that way at all. And obviously, I'm not a big Blade Runner fan, but like watching them, I was like, I don't feel like these are groundbreaking in the sense of like the articles I was reading, like this like was amazing, and it did this, and I was like, I don't know if you can say that. And so to me, those people valued it a little too much. I'm not going to poop on it and say no one ever needs to watch these again, and these are, like irrelevant and stupid. I think they're really cool, like you said, kind of cult following sci-fi movies that are there for people who want them, and they're, not a must-watch for every, movie-going person. Yeah. But I do think that, like, for me at least, it feels like they're valued about right, in the sense of the people who like them love them and cherish them. Because I've heard a lot about these movies for a long time.
Yeah.
At least the first movie for a long time.
And see, that's a bit to the point of, and that was a big thing with the cult following. That's how they happen.
That's how Terminator feels for me.
Yeah,
like
Terminator.
It's got a cult, like a really passionate club of people out there.
And you just have to be. I feel like cult movies in general, cult anything, you have to be there at the right time.
Yeah.
Like, I have a buddy at church who I remember, I'd never seen it, but he talked this movie up a lot and enjoyed it. But he's also around the age of when this movie came out. He probably saw it maybe in theaters, or if not, he saw it really, early on in the probably 80s when it came out. And he really enjoys it. And so I feel like, and this is just a part of, we're a little biased because we're younger
coming afterward
and don't understand.
Yeah, I feel that.
So, and I think that's a part of why I like the Terminator movies a lot, especially Terminator 2, because that movie came out in 1992, and I was born in 1991.
Right.
I don't remember when I saw it. I'm sure it was probably early 2000s, but still, like it's just more of,
like
of a kind of a timepiece kind of thing.
And 100%. That's why I like Chris Nolan so much. I mean, think about it. Prestige came out in like 06 or 05, 06, 07. I mean, I was like 10, 11, 12 years old.
Yeah.
Batman Begins, Dark Knight Rises, Inception, Interstellar. Like, all these movies are coming out.
What stuff you grew up with?
And it's stuff I'm growing up with.
Yeah.
That's why we like Marvel so much. Like, 20, 30 years from now, when our kids and grandkids are like, these Marvel movies suck. We're like, oh, you guys are idiots. These are the best movies of all time. And they're like, oh, you guys are just crazy old people. Like, that's going to be us arguing about Star Wars and Marvel and Matrix and whatever. Like, Indiana Jones, which is even before our time. Like, Pirates of the Caribbean and Transformers and all these things that are happening now and have happened for the last 10 or 15 years.
Yeah.
I 100% feel that. I don't know. I feel like some people overvalue these movies, specifically the second one, and saying it's like one of the greatest movies of all time. I don't think it's like terrible movie. I just don't know. There were some articles that I read, and I wanted to hear your thoughts, specifically you, because I know you like it so much. Mm-hmm. And these people were saying it's the greatest sci-fi movie of all time. And I was like, I don't know. I don't really feel that at all. But I thought that was interesting. That was an interesting take, at least, is what I'm guess trying to say.
I think a lot of it has to do with just how the movie's made. Because it is long. Things take longer to develop. The shots are really long shots. Mm-hmm. It's not... I'm not saying this specifically for you, but a lot of people in the world like, fast paced, like, tell me what's going on, tell me this, I want this now, like, and that's how a lot of the Marvel movies are, is, they're just like, nothing's really a slow burn nowadays in movies. And so I think this deters a lot of people because of it, because you obviously watched it, but you saw 2 hours and 43 minutes and you're just like, oh God, I don't know if I want to watch this. I mean, honestly, like, I love Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but I'm like, you see those long, like, 3-hour movies, you're just like, golly, that's what's, I'm feeling that way about The Irishman right now. It's like, I know it looks good and stuff, but I'm like, man, that's a long sneaking movie.
When does that come out? It comes out like this week, doesn't it?
This month.
Soon. I've been seeing reviews on it, so it's soon.
This month,
but I think a lot of it has to do with that, like how it's told, and the story is, I don't think the story, like, maybe in the second one, but I don't think it's sitting there like force feeding you the story. That it's just like that's just how it is. Like, we have the Infinity Stones. Thanos is going to come try and get the Infinity Stones. We're going to beat Thanos, and then like this and this and this and this happens. I don't think it's not as, you're not being fed the information as much, and like the way some of the shots are, you're kind of told to assume, because then like in some of the shots in Blade Runner, they'll just snap to a new location. You're like, okay, so he traveled back, he went to this room, he went to this room, and it's like it's stuff you don't need to know, but a lot of movies are showing you that nowadays. Showing you the journey to that specific place when it probably doesn't need to. I don't know. I think it's a different style of movie. It's not something that's
It is very Tarantino-esque.
as watchable today for some people.
Because when I think Tarantino, I think the slow burn. I think like Hateful Eight, Inglourious Bastards, Reservoir Dogs, specifically Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Like, literally, it's just you're watching slowly as all these things build toward, boom, there's what you've been watching, kind of thing. So, yeah, I think it's interesting that it is kind of a different take on a sci-fi movie. Because when you think of sci-fi movie, you think of like space battles and action and lasers and whatever, and and so I thought that was really interesting that it was not like that. But okay, last question: where does this movie rank, specifically this movie, single movie, rank in your top 25, top 50?
It's your number one, isn't it, Luke?
I'd have to sit down and really look at my list, but it's top 5 for sure. Like 100% top 5 for me.
What'd you score it?
46, I think.
Wow.
For me, I would probably have to agree with Luke that I would have to really dive back at my list. I don't think, even though I did score it higher than Luke, I don't think it would crest the top 5. It maybe could, because I can't remember what's number 4 and 5 on my list.
Quiet Place has got to be higher.
Yeah, it's up there.
I mean, by definition, I guess the score.
Well, yeah, and by definition. So I mean, yeah, I mean, I know I've got like Endgame is 1, Matrix, Boondock Saints. That's 1, 2, 3. Like I said, don't remember what 4 and 5 is, but I could totally see myself maybe putting this and then Quiet Place or Quiet Place and then this. You know, I just would have to.
It's probably
think
like the
about
4 to 7 range.
4
maybe.
to 7-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I actually bought this movie at Vintage Stock for like $4 or something. So
Smart, because that's how much it is on Amazon.
sweet.
I've done both. I own the movie, and then I also rented it on Amazon.
Nice. So I actually bought this one and the original. So
Yeah, I can say I need to get the pack. I need to watch the final cut of the
did you rent it?
original. Yeah, I just rented them on iTunes.
Yeah. So I actually bought them. So I'll probably watch them again someday. But,
Hey, those are good movies, man.
But yeah, so there's another. Okay, I guess it's more for you because for me and Luke, it's pretty obvious. How would you score this? Of like, watch every year, watch a lot, red box, that kind of thing.
I would say for me, it's a tier 3.
Okay.
Tier 4 is like
Never watch
never
again.
speak of it again. For me,
If I talked about American Gangster a bunch.
if I didn't know Luke, it'd probably be a tier 4.
Dang.
I'm preventing a lot of things
Yeah,
with me being here.
dude. If you hadn't been in this show, this movie would have been like a 20 for AJ.
AJ, what do you think about plot? 1. Do you have any thoughts? No.
There's
been
gonna be
the
a
Simon
separate. There's
Cowell
gonna be a
of the-
separate episode. It's gonna be AJ Unfiltered.
That's gonna be in the next bonus feature.
What's your score for this movie? 5. It sucked.
0.
Why it sucked? No, seriously, why I didn't like it.
Your daughter crying in the background.
Yeah.
Why'd you make me watch this movie?
So I gave it a 31, y'all. Y'all are acting like I gave it like a single-digit score.
We just love to give you crap, buddy.
Yeah, exactly. I would say a tier 3. So for me, like a tier 1 is like a top 50, top 100 movie. Own it, watch it once a year or two. Tier 2 is like probably own it, probably watch it every once in a while. Tier 3 is like, I'd watch it again. And then tier 4 is like, I wouldn't spend $1 to watch it again.
Yeah.
Ever, really. Yeah, I'd say tier 3. Will I watch this movie again in my lifetime? Yeah, 100%. 100%. It'll be one of those movies on my shelf 5 years from now that I'll
You'd be
say.
like, oh, Blade Runner.
I'll be like, yeah, I watched that a while back, and I don't remember what happened.
And then
so
they'll
I'll
have
watch it
Blade
again.
Runner 2099 out, and you'll be like, man, what a movie.
Gotta
Okay,
go see
so at any here's another quick one.
2079.
At any point, did you like, and this may be because I'm older than you guys, do the math of like, okay, I would actually be really close to Harrison Ford's age at this movie, or at this point in time, and like in the
49.
2019 when I was like, oh, you know, did you guys do that, or was that just me being older?
That was just you.
Okay, cool.
I mean, I'd be 55 or 54.
I was gonna say I think I was only like 6 or 7 years younger than like what Harrison Ford's age would have been in 2040. You know,
And they kept bringing up like the 40 years and stuff like that. So they
Yeah.
kind of drove that point home a little bit.
Yeah.
Dang, yeah, I'd be old.
54, bruh.
so yeah, I just thought I don't know. I've been thinking about things like that a lot recently about getting older and like having kids apparently. So that was a weird.
Being an adult.
It was a weird thing.
So
So yeah, that's all I got.
yeah, I am actually more interested, I think, to hear people's thoughts on this movie than I think I am on any other movie, because this is the most divisive movie we've done.
Mm-hmm.
It's the biggest gap, wouldn't you
But
say?
it's the biggest gap between us
Score-wise.
and you, I think.
Score wise,
Yeah.
yeah,
Because there's definitely, we've had some where your scores have definitely been higher than ours. Stanford
right,
Prison
but
Experiment.
not like that. Not that
Yep.
big though.
Yeah. This
I'm
is,
pretty
even-
sure it was that big.
No, because like for Stanford Prison Experiment, I gave it like a low 40.
And I gave it a low 30.
Yeah,
I
that's
can't remember what I
10.
give it. Let me look real quick.
This is like a 15-point gap, y'all.
Yeah,
That's true.
This
It's a
is
15-point gap. Because I mean, your lowest hit, you gave it 48, he gave it 46.
Yeah.
Mine's a 31. So
I
like,
gave the Stanford Prison Experiment a. Hold on. Let me do the math. I didn't calculate it at the end. So 11, 17,
11.
26. I gave it a 33. I think.
Okay.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, I'm down. I don't remember for sure. It's my other booklet, but it's probably a 40, 42 somewhere in there.
One of these days we'll forget about that movie.
It's the biggest gap. I like that movie. That's a good movie. It's an interesting movie. It's an interesting movie.
It was an interesting watch. I'll admit. It's
not.
I'll agree with
that. It's not
that.
a great movie.
It was an interesting watch. All right. Do I think about it at night? No.
I mean, I don't sit around thinking about the Stanford Prison Experience.
You don't lay in bed and think about movies.
But see, I do think it would be interesting to have a list of our movies and like the highest scores I've given, the highest scores you've given, the highest scores Paul's given, the lowest score I've given.
An Excel sheet to me.
Yeah, I think that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Which I don't do those.
Well, like what I'm saying is,
together.
if you're new to our show and you're like, oh, I don't want to listen to 27 episodes about movies I've never seen before or movies I don't know anything about. And you're like, oh, crap, this movie, they all three scored this movie a 47 or whatever. I'm going to watch that movie. I'm going to go listen to that show. I think that'd be a cool idea.
You know what we should do also to maybe counteract how you say I'm biased? We should find a really crappy movie and do it one and see how we end up scoring.
Just do a special.
Yeah.
I'd always be interested. Just find one where people are like, yeah, like it's maybe like one of those just like controversial ones or like some people.
Do you
are
like episode 3?
No.
No, bro, there it is. Episode 3. Let's go.
50.
Episode 3. Come on.
No.
That's a 50.
Bro, it is probably no joke like a 48 or higher for me.
Ugh.
I love that movie.
Are we reviewing that one? No, we're just
not
talking about it.
reviewing,
We're
but
just
we will
talking about
definitely
it.
We
talk
should
about
now
it.
because Paul doesn't like it and we both love it, so we can just yell at Paul for an hour. You're an idiot. You don't know what you're talking about. You're the chosen one.
The moment Mace Windu died, I gave this movie a 0.
I love you, Anakin.
Who's gonna wield the purple lightsaber?
Yeah.
Well,
You're my brother.
that's perfect. Next week or next like 3 weeks, we're talking Star Wars. If you don't know,
Bro.
we've said that every week.
So my first question, lead off question next week. Why do you not like Episode 3, the greatest Star Wars movie of all time? That's my lead off question.
I will
so
have
there you
that,
go.
prepared.
There's the precursor to next week.
Hayden Christensen is a saint.
So next week we're gonna do in top 2.
So okay,
Bottom 2?
our original plan for this, and we're still kind of ironing out the details because again we've got to have a month's worth of content, which we don't think is going to be hard, but it might actually be.
There's so much to talk about.
So the first episode next week is going to be about we're going to do top and maybe top 2,
bottom 2
movies, characters, and maybe even like. We may throw like a TV show, video game
Yeah, that's right.
category in there.
OG Battlefront.
That's right.
Yeah, things like that. And then we may get into a few other things. We're obviously going to have our Mandalorian episode 4 on there. May pepper in some other things. The second episode will be, again, Mandalorian episode 5. But then we're going to kind of get into hopes, predictions, best fan theories for Rise of Skywalker. Things like that. And then, Darth Maul coming back, baby.
That'd be dope.
After getting chopped in half and sliced and junk and stuff.
He's just like the top fourth of his body.
It's like
amazing. Yeah, the guy like in like the back, like the person you see from behind in the trailer. We all think it's the Emperor. It's Darth Maul.
Anyway, so then the next episode, the third week will be...
It all comes together. Episode 1, episode 9, baby. Let's go.
That's why it's so robotic, yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Then the next episode we'll have Mandalorian episode 6. Wait, I don't know if that's right.
It'd be 5 and 6, I think.
Yeah, maybe something like that. We'll have a couple episodes in there, and then we'll have our Rise of Skywalker review.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're gonna end the month off with we'll rank the movies.
Every movie, 1 to 11.
And we're also going to talk, and that'll also be the final episode of Mandalorian as the kickoff leader for season 1. So that will be
pumped.
If you're a fan and probably going to hopefully listen to all those episodes, be prepared. Like this episode has turned out to be quite a long one. Those episodes are probably going to be 2 hours or longer each.
4 hours.
I think there was one episode where Luke and I accidentally stumbled into this wormhole
of Star Wars.
And we literally, like, we didn't know it. And we looked up, we were like, 45 minutes. We've been talking for 45 minutes. And it was really like, holy crap, we've been talking for 45 minutes. And that was before we even got to the rotating segment. We were
my gosh.
Let's jump in the rotating segment. What do you got, Luke? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Yeah.
Cool beans. All right, let's talk about Heat.
Yeah. I think it was like a terrible movie that week, so we didn't care that we did that. But,
that's awesome.
But yeah, we literally were like, oh, snap. Yeah, so we love Star Wars. If you like Star Wars, hang with us. It's going to be tight.
Yeah,
we're excited.
Yeah.
A lot of fun discussion questions. Is episode 3 good? Is episode 8 bad? Why not? Luke hates on episode 8. Paul hates on episode 3. You know,
It's gonna
come
be
on.
a good one. Yeah,
Attack of the Clones is the bomb. I mean, come on.
Wait, what?
Helicopter Yoda, man.
Bro, the last hour of Attack of the Clones is fire. That's all I'm saying. First hour, hot garbage. Second hour, amazing. It's kind of like OU football, like right now. You know?
Yeah, right.
Friggin' ridiculous. Bunch of nerds. Okay.
Anyway,
That's it
all
for us.
next
That's all we
month,
got.
Star Wars month.
That's it. baby.
Nice. Well, we look forward. Get your Ewoks ready. Yub nub. Get your robes on. Get your lightsabers, and we will see you next week for Star Wars month.